One Dodd has the absolute best worst curse ever. Luckily, he knows this game's plot. Inside out, he knows the villains, the main heroine in every single disaster heading his way. His only goal is simple: survive, keep a low profile, avoid drawing attention, and dodge every dangerous death flag coming his way. All he wanted was a quiet, drama-free life without any trouble. Instead, a bizarre curse makes every villain in this world either worship him or want him dead. When the bad girls in this fantasy world are breathtakingly gorgeous, with curves that should be outright illegal, and they are all obsessed with him, how can he even choose? Choosing just one means the rest will start a war to claim his body. According to the butterfly effect, a single decision can rewrite a person's entire destiny. Looking back at his journey, our protagonist regrets almost every single move he has made. Right now, he is completely cornered, desperately trying to hide near a window, while a sharp, chilling voice on the other side calls him darling and demands he come out because she knows exactly where he is. She threatens to crash through by force, and she's dead serious. Suddenly, a blade pierces right through the door. Terrified, he tries to de-escalate by quoting the Academy's student council rules, only to realize that the girl destroying the door is the actual student council president. She demands to know why he keeps running away, absolutely furious that he's dared to ignore her twice already, before bluntly demanding that he marry her on the spot. Before he can even process the proposal, a second girl crashes the scene to make her claim, and she has absolutely no intention of sharing him with anyone else. The new arrival simply smirks, teasing her rival. Dodd tries to calm the situation down, but things only spiral further. Suddenly, a third girl drops straight down from the ceiling, obviously obsessed with him as well, sending the other two into a rage. She tells him to skip all the dating nonsense and just move in with her. The wedding is already fully planned, she just needs her groom, but right when it seems things cannot get any crazier, a fourth girl barges inside, pushing through and screaming that Dodd already belongs to her. Completely cornered and mortified, Dodd is in a total panic. He realizes that unless someone intervenes, these girls are going to start a massive brawl to decide who claims him. The ultimate question hanging over this chaos is, how on earth did things get this bad? It started with that survival game he'd just finished, feeling incredible of the world, but somehow he got pulled directly into the game's fantasy universe. The worst part, he was not reincarnated as the main hero. Instead, he got trapped in the body of a minor noble's son, a total background character about to enter the Imperial Academy. His father's only advice: don't start any trouble and remain unseen. After all, the academy was filled with children of the Empire's elite nobility. But the moment Dodd agrees, a system screen suddenly materializes before his eyes. His character stats are so unbelievably garbage that even a seasoned veteran like him is shocked. At least his first main quest seems straightforward enough: successfully enroll in the academy. If he fails to do so, it is instant game over. Naturally, Dodd plans to keep his head down, blend in, and let the actual main character handle the main plot while he plays a background extra. In the shadows, unfortunately, disaster strikes immediately on his train journey to the academy when he finds himself sharing a carriage with the notoriously bloodthirsty Elnor. She is the princess of House Tristan, the game's final boss, the one character whose storyline always ends in a clash with the protagonist. He stares at her so long that she asks if he needs a doctor, noting how pale and exhausted he looks. She glances at the clueless guy, mentioning the Tristan Duchy cares deeply about its public image. Riding in the economy class instead of first class was a calculated move to show she is equal to everyone else. Still, she says it is fine since anyone entering this cabin gives her that exact same shocked look. The real issue is that she is acting completely different from what he remembers, and he is trying to figure out why she is showing this side of herself. Since he remains silent, she asks why he is acting so restless. He stammers that he is just shy. She figures he must have heard some bad rumors floating around about her. Trying to play it off, he looks at her and says he only heard she was highly strict. Then he adds that actually, most people just called her incredibly strange. Reminding himself that he is just an extra who cannot get involved, he decides to stay quiet and stare out the window. Looking outside, he spots something unusual and notices the student council president nearby. It looks like they're both about to board the train. Suddenly, a massive boulder smashes directly into the train, tearing the car right in half. At That exact moment, her magical necklace, designed to counter undead traps, instantly activates. Elnor always wears it, helping her escape these deadly traps set against her, knowing his terrible stats will not let him survive. The crash, the guy grabs onto her without a second thought. The moment he does, her eyes widen as if some strange spark just connected them. Elnor asks if he is all right and tells him to get off. In all the chaos, he had no idea he landed right on top of her, but he is glad he had something to cushion his fall. Once he finally snaps back to reality, he starts apologizing nonstop. She turns her face away, saying it is fine. Assuming he tackled her like that just to shield her, she remarks that it is the first time any guy has gotten this close to her. Meanwhile, he silently panics, knowing he only grabbed her to use her armor for protection. Because of this, she actually starts taking an interest in him and makes a point of asking for his name. He gets a bad feeling that answering means he is going to keep running into her nonstop in the future. Once he says his name, she smiles and promises she will never forget it. Right then, he notices on his status screen that a villainess has taken an interest in him. Since he met the conditions for the special reward, he unlocks 2 new skills: Awakened Survival and Deadly Charm. Because the train belonged to the Imperial Academy, rescue forces arrive much faster than anyone expected, and thanks to all the extra security measures, barely anyone gets hurt. Once the injured are treated, carriages start taking them away. Before long, they arrive right in front of the famous academy. After all that chaos, this is his first chance to actually check out his reward. He realizes there was no way he could have figured out the unlock conditions beforehand, no matter what he tried. Back at the Viscount's territory, he did not act like a villain, so finding a neutral blending in among such cheerful people was practically impossible. Even though his rewards were still locked, he was dying to see his loot, so he opened his status screen to review his stats while still riding inside the carriage. Desperate survival would definitely help him last much longer during fights. Deadly Charm, on the other hand, could spell disaster, especially since he knew how this world's villainesses operated. There was a battle-hungry warrior who only lived to fight, and a totally unhinged sword saint who attacks anyone who steps within 3 feet of her, a ruthless mercenary who kills anyone for the right price, and a genius mage with incredibly sharp senses. To him, dealing with people like that was just a massive headache. When it came down to it, all he really cared about was acquiring skills that would keep him alive. Even as a veteran gamer, he had never seen an ability with an effect like this. The doctor noticed him zoning out and asked if he wanted another mental checkup. After the endless carriage ride, he finally reached his final destination. Even though he survived that entire disaster, he stepped off the carriage wearing a sour look. Meanwhile, as the academy staff delivered their welcome speeches, he just stands there listening in silence. Truth be told, he had some seriously heavy thoughts weighing on his mind that day. The doctor in the carriage mentioned he was an academy alumnus who came from a minor noble family. He warned that the monster stone crashing into his train car was no accident. He also told the kid it was best to stay far away from anyone connected to the Tristan dukedom. The real issue was checking his status window. He knew the first trust event with Elnor would trigger very soon. In an academy crawling with rumors and lies, it was no surprise she was a prime candidate to be the final boss. While lost in deep thought, he suddenly hears someone calling his name. An annoyed instructor snaps and asks if he is daydreaming. They are supposed to pair up for sparring, but everyone already picked a partner, leaving him completely isolated. Because of that, his opponent is assigned automatically. Since all the top-tier fighters were already taken, he is stuck with the worst possible matchup. Sure enough, the only classmate left to partner with him is a giant girl. That is Aaliyah, the ultimate prodigy of this world. Down the road, she is destined to become the savior of humanity, the actual protagonist of the game. And right now, she is helping him up. Seeing his opponent, he knows he is in serious trouble. A woman in glasses watches the commotion caused by the student. Thinking she has completely lost her mind, she notes the entrance exams have already begun and cannot fathom how the girl managed to be so late. She's referring to the girl who just arrived covered in dirt, her hair completely disheveled. The official has many questions, starting with where the girl has been all this time. Elnor calmly explains she was just taking care of a few minor matters. The woman understands but still needs to clarify. Few details with her first. With her back turned, the girl mentions that some thugs tried to eliminate her by dropping a massive boulder on the academy train. Hearing this shocking story, the woman tracked them down and captured every single one. After hearing all this, the woman's puzzled. She tells her to hurry up and change, because the entrance duels are already underway. She's about to point out that a quick rush would let her catch the last duel until she realizes the newcomer is fighting, mentioning the main character's name. She realizes the girl already knows him, but the other girl insists that to her, that kid is a complete nobody. She still remembers the ridiculous face he was making back when they were in the train car together. Even so, she smirks a little just thinking about how weird he is. Meanwhile, back in the arena, the protagonist is shaking like a leaf. He knows his stats are trash. A single hit from this woman means instant game over. But then he realizes this danger could actually work in his favor. If he is in extreme danger, he might finally unlock his sealed power. He recalls his status window, which says his stats increase during times of crisis, scaling with the level of danger. He is sure his future enemies are watching from the crowd, so if he does not get finished off right now, he will at least grab their attention. With his knowledge advantage and a stat boost, he might actually survive. This, meanwhile, the incredibly powerful woman in front of him actually looks like she pities him. Before she crushes him, she wants him to be honest and answer one question. She wants him to admit that he is far too weak. She says that if he confesses, she might even spare him from a brutal beating. Then she asks if he is the guy who was hanging out with Tristan. She says she hates that girl and her entire family, calling them absolute monsters. The protagonist knows she is bold for saying that, but deep down she is not wrong. According to the story, she has plenty of reasons to hate them, so he gets the family drama. The problem is, he was recently in the same room as her, but the woman says his face reminds her of that disgusting brat, so she suggests they just pretend to fight instead. That sounds incredibly tempting, but if he does not level up fast over the next 2 days, his life is in serious danger anyway, so he tells her to bring it on. To provoke her, he claims he actually likes that girl a lot. The woman grips her sword tightly and asks if he is being serious. Of course he is lying, but to get her coming at him with full force, he must commit to the act as soon as he shouts that he loves the girl as much as she hates her. The system triggers deadly charm. Now the woman says she will not feel bad at all about destroying him. Furious, she charges straight at him with everything she has got. Even though he manages to dodge, the force of the strike is so massive that it snaps his sword in half. Pure panic hits him as he realizes that if this plan fails, he's going to die right here. The short-haired girl is impressed that such a weak loser actually managed to dodge her attack. So she decides to stop holding back and crush him once and for all. Seeing that she is about to end the fight, the system detects extreme danger and flags his life as being in imminent danger. Right then, his desperate survival skill activates at rank EX1. Closing his eyes, he throws a direct punch right to her face, instantly dazing her. Seeing the massive impact of the blow, he realizes that X rank is actually the absolute highest tier in the entire game. It is such a devastating power that everyone around him instantly starts looking at him in a completely different light, and that single punch is more. It was more than enough to knock the girl out cold. The impossible just happened, and the guy everyone dismissed as a weakling saved his skin at the absolute last second. When the strike landed, even he couldn't believe how much raw power just exploded from his fist. Everyone was utterly shocked, staring at the F-rank underdog who had just somehow won the entire duel. With this unbelievable feat, he captured the attention of the entire Alphan Academy. On his very first day of class, he casually defeated the main character of this world. Meeting with the Academy higher-ups, their immediate suspicion was that he cheated on his proficiency exam. Everyone's view of him had totally flipped, prompting the directors to keep debating his mysterious case. An evaluator pointed out that prior to this duel, the guy had 0 combat skills, yet that strike was real, and the headmistress demanded answers about what was actually happening. The scarred man asserted that no one in the academy would walk away in one piece after taking that punch, including himself, since his odds of defeating the promising warrior Aliyah were 0. He must have used some illegal tool or substance. However, the scarred man raised a few other possibilities during the discussion, noting that the alternative was that the guy might actually be an absurdly talented monster. that theory did not sit well with them, being tough to swallow, especially for the Margrave sponsoring Ilya. Still, discarding a student with this much potential would be a massive loss for the academy. If he was a fraud, it would show soon enough, so they decided to wait and see. This year was packed with interesting new students. Some so unique they required special treatment. If this guy really was the real deal, he would surely play a major role ahead. Meanwhile, wild rumors and photos of the protagonist started popping up all over the school newspapers. Naturally, he hated this sudden fame which dragged up painful memories of his past life before getting trapped in this game. Right at that moment, the system pinged with a notification that someone's trust level had just increased. Floating screens began appearing right in front of him, detailing his various upgrades. The student body's feelings were shifting to genuine interest and trust, generating points to spend in the system shop. The only thing he couldn't grasp was why the final boss, who shouldn't even know he existed, was suddenly tracking him. A skill from the legendary Tristan family even appeared, a clan notorious for demon-tainted swordsmen, but that didn't faze him. The strangest part was that the girl he just dueled also popped up on his interest list. Gifts were only supposed to come from villainesses with high affection, but she wasn't a villainess and certainly didn't like him. While he tried to figure this out, someone began pounding aggressively on his dorm room door. The voice outside asked if this was the freshman's room, sounding incredibly familiar to his ears. The girl introduced herself as Ilya, demanding to be let inside, knocking on his door nonstop. He had no idea what she wanted and decided to remain completely silent, hoping she'd just go away, except she called him out, shouting that she knew he was inside and telling him to answer. She threatens to kick his door down if he doesn't talk, instantly making him ask if she has lost her mind. Hearing his voice, she celebrates, claiming she knew he was inside all along, demanding to know why he did not open up sooner. She begs him to open up, promising not to hurt him, just wanting to ask a quick question while he keeps asking what she wants. Acting incredibly weird, she claims it is just a friendly chat so they can get to know each other. Standing all alone in the quiet hallway, Aaliyah begins processing the entire situation. Even though she backed off for now, she is not happy with his attitude, believing he should have just accepted immediately instead of being so picky. Reflecting on their weird encounter, she remembers the other girls and still feels like something highly unusual is going on. Not sure whether to stay or leave, it dawns on her that she does not even know how to make friends with a guy. She gets so lost in thought that she bumps straight into someone, knocking their food right out of their hands. Bending down to retrieve it, the other person snaps at her to watch her step. The fair-haired girl then asks if she is hurt. The real trouble starts when she looks up and realizes exactly who is standing right in front of her. Instantly, her body screams at her to flee as fast as possible and never look back. Shaking with fear, she cannot comprehend why a member of the Tristan family is standing right there. Powered by pure instinct, her hand reaches straight for the hilt of her sword. She did not mean to do it on purpose. It was purely a survival reflex. She stares deep into the girl's eyes, wondering if she would stand a chance against her at her current level. But Elnor Tristan is actually just standing there, offering a hand to help her up. Seeing how calm Elnor is, Aaliyah hopes she did not notice her sudden defensive reflex. It turns out the girl just wants her dropped. Food returned. Still trembling, she hands it over, guessing Elnor did not even bother reacting because she does not view her as a threat. She then mentions that if she turns right down the hallway, she will reach Wood's room instantly, except Elnora immediately demands to know how she knows the exact location of a guy's room when the short-haired girl admits she was with him just a little while ago. Elnora is clearly unhappy to hear it. She demands to know why, and the timid girl replies that it was merely a friendly chat between new students. The student council president literally invents a brand new rule on the spot, declaring that Aaliyah is forbidden from entering Dawood's room. But Aaliyah does not seem to take this well at all, demanding to know what is really going on between the two of them. Right then, she recalls what he had said during their battle. She suspects there really is something between them and decides she must keep a close watch on them from now on. From now on, the Academy's practical exam evaluates every single detail about the students, sorting everyone into groups right after the duels. Since he managed to defeat the knight candidate, he is placed in the highest tier. Group, everyone else seems proud of their results, but he is the only one. Worried because his biggest problem is that girl. He did everything he could to escape her yesterday, but now she is in his exact same group. Just then, the system warns him that her curiosity spiked to level 5, meaning her interest is only growing by the day. He then remembers those snacks in the letter from last night, wondering if a stalker is actually following his every move. For now, he focuses on the upcoming exam and hopes for the best since this is part of the main storyline. He also notices a massive boost in Elnor's confidence. Now she stands tall in front of everyone, announcing she will be supervising their groups. Exam, things are feeling off because Elnor's event was supposed to play out differently, yet here she is leading the pack. It would be highly unusual if things did not go off the rails during a test, but this shift seems connected to a recent meeting. She announces that everyone will head toward the testing area first, where she will answer questions and clear up any doubts. Everyone can tell how much prep work went into this exam. Despite their surprise at the setup, they keep following her down the path. As they walk, Aya recalls her promise to answer questions upon arrival. Right then, our protagonist looks ahead and spots the room entrance up ahead completely blocked off. This means the event is already underway, and it is a trap rather than a test. The main mission here is to rescue that person. Looking around, he spots two girls talking and realizes they belong to the main character's party. He recalls the plot clearly. This exact spot is where they all meet, so everyone gathered in this room holds the key to the future storyline. He shouts over to them, claiming the central hall is their best regrouping point. He explains they can find a map there, plus gear and rescue supplies. With everyone's attention secured, he tells them that since they are already here, he is taking a different route. Aaliyah finds it incredibly strange that he wants to head away from the central hall. He tells her he cannot explain why just yet, but promises it is vital and will explain everything later. He knows it is fine because he did not technically lie. After all, nothing matters more than saving his own skin. Walking away alone, he wonders if his scheme actually worked. Defeating Aaliyah likely gave his words real weight, so now he just needs to hide out until this event ends. Since the mercenaries target Elnor, nobody is going to pay attention to him, so he can simply lay low for a while. As he walks, a voice calls out to him. When he turns around, something feels completely wrong. A man with a creepy face claims he is there to fix the power and asks him to lead the way. The man claims he cannot see well in the dark, and right then the system triggers a major danger warning. Meanwhile, walking through the dark, wet hallway, one of the girls asks Aya if that guy will really be okay. Wandering off alone, Aya replies that he surely had a plan in mind when he left. Either way, it feels like a disaster is brewing for all of them. First, nearby, two men mention the vanguard already defeated that demonic woman. They laugh about how ridiculously easy it was to fool the hero. While joking around, they watch the protagonist walking ahead with his back turned to them. The mercenary mutters that the equipment room is just up ahead, clearly enjoying. The assassin boasts about being such a pro mercenary, he can easily judge anyone's level just by watching them walk. He quickly pegs Dodd as a total amateur and decides to play with his food before finishing him off. With a creepy smirk, he removes his mask and teasingly says he might offer the kid a reward, but Dodd turns around completely unfazed, acting like he has no clue who the assassin even is. Staring at the creepy face, Dodd mutters that he would be in real trouble if his foe were actually strong. He mockingly admits he's relieved, even making fun of the guy's walk and sinus issues. Dodd readies himself, hoping this fight for his life will earn him a better system rank or maybe a worse grade since his opponent isn't a big deal. Meanwhile, the mercenary still thinks he's a weakling and goes all out against him. Dodd simply grips his staff, wondering what power will erupt from his weapon this time. Meanwhile, a violent clash is unfolding somewhere else, where a man is thrown violently against a stone wall. Right after, he gets hit with a barrage of arrows, but it doesn't stop there. Several mercenaries begin to float in the air, completely engulfed in flames. It turns out his allies decided to double back and help the lone Dodd. Having captured most of them, the red-haired warrior finds their weakness quite strange. Next, the girl commands ice sheets to freeze all those idiots completely solid. Meanwhile, not far away, Elnor feels the need to put some fools in their place. She must teach these lowlifes that they messed with the absolute wrong person. For that reason, she is utterly crushing these useless thugs without an ounce of mercy. It's painfully clear none of them possess any real talent. After beating them to a pulp, she begins interrogating them to find out who ordered the attack. She has to squeeze a few of them pretty hard to make them talk. With their forces combined, Elnor demands to know if the mastermind is inside that building or nearby. Realizing they won't easily talk, she plays rough and demands to know if the lead mercenary is currently at that location. Under her terrifying pressure, one of the goons leaks that the boss came with them. Leah wants to know why Elnor is going to such extreme lengths for this. The answer is simple. Someone tried to assassinate her, and Crescent Moon is a mercenary who can shapeshift into anyone he eliminates. She poses a question to them, asking who the easiest target for an elite assassin would be. Then she realizes Dodd used himself as bait to draw the strongest enemy away. Hearing this, the others ask what kind of relationship those two actually share. Elnor replies that there is nothing going on between them, at least as far as she knows. Meanwhile, Dodd is having a field day with his assassin. The panicked enemy has no idea why his special powers aren't working at all. He gets tossed around like a total amateur, while Dodd basically takes a casual stroll between every hit. The seasoned mercenary sent to kill him is getting absolutely wrecked. In that precise moment, a system notification pops up, confirming his legendary sword technique was successfully executed. When the assassin realizes he's using Tristan's sword style, he knows he picked a fight with the absolute wrong opponent. The dying mercenary mutters that the kid used himself as bait all along. A panel shows the mercenary is genuinely impressed by the clever strategy, thanks to the game's system. Weapons are totally disabled inside safe zones, which is exactly why our protagonist dragged him here. The hero explains he has no intention of killing him, he just needs him to warn the other hunters to back off from Lady Tristan. He has no idea who placed the price on her head, but he knows the assassins will keep coming. Mercenary locks eyes with him, asking what he will do if they strike again. With a perfectly straight face, Dawood tells him to let them try because he will be right there to defend her again. The hitman wonders if that noble girl actually matters that much to him. He replies that she absolutely does, far more than anyone could possibly comprehend. Little does he know she is actually standing right behind him. Hearing those words causes her affection level to shoot straight through the roof. The moment he spins around, a massive wave of system alerts start flashing right in front of him. The villainess's favorability points spike to crazy heights, and the system notifications just keep spamming his screen. Meanwhile, at the Academy office, the place is a total disaster area. No matter how much she struggles to sort through the paperwork, the clutter remains overwhelming. She simply cannot understand why the Chancellor flew into a rage, but tracking a secret group so quickly is incredibly difficult with all this backlog. She notes that looking at the assassin's route and precise timing, there is almost certainly a spy among them. She points out that while political schemes happen constantly, this marks their second strike. The enemy seems highly motivated because this ambush feels entirely different. The students who defended her received official recognition for stepping up and neutralizing the threat without taking a single casualty along the way. The sole issue lies with Dawood. He is the only combatant without any documented achievements, which makes absolutely no sense. It seems like he is actively trying to keep a low profile from the Academy faculty. Learning this makes Elnor begin to second-guess his motives, yet doubt lingers and deep in her heart. She refuses to fully accept those suspicions. The woman speaking with her, though, is losing patience and hates watching her stand up for a complete stranger. After catching a file thrown directly toward her, Elnor demands to know what she implies. The truth is, she has been distracted all afternoon and cannot concentrate on work. Elnor confesses that she has recently grown quite curious about a certain classmate. When she is asked if that person is indeed Dawood, a heavy silence fills the room. It seems unbelievable that a noble girl would lose her heart to some rural commoner. Besides, if the Archduke discovers what is going on, there will be serious consequences. Elnor dislikes the teasing accusation that her heart was so easily won over. At the end of the day, he treats her with genuine care, whereas she usually trusts nobody. Elnor decides she must put him through a proper trial, so she will watch him closely, keeping a vigilant eye on his every move. Meanwhile, our protagonist looks over the official document he received, stating the Academy cannot currently assign him to a specific class. Apparently, the school board is finalizing a project to evaluate performance, promising updates in the near future. Under normal rules, he should never be placed inside an elite class like Aaliyah's squad. He has no clue why. The administration is singling him out, but a fresh system quest suddenly appears. It focuses on the upcoming freshman welcome ceremony, where his final placement will be decided. Archer, warrior, mage, or priest. Class specializations depend entirely on one's main focus. Since Elia wields a sword, her build will focus strictly on strength. The catch is he must handle an incident scheduled to go down during the ceremony. On top of that, Elnor's character stats suddenly shift, and Elia's stats suddenly fluctuate out of nowhere too. The final boss, the heroine, and the main quest events are all triggering at the exact same time, meaning something massive is about to go down. To make matters worse, a new skill pops up that catches him completely off guard. He can now copy one of the final boss's skills, but he feels like it's a waste to trigger it this early. She's going to unlock tons of broken skills later, so burning his skill duplicator right now makes zero sense. The thing is, he knows a secret that's about to completely break the game, and that's why he's standing right in front of the old equipment warehouse. To avoid drawing unwanted attention, he decides to throw on a mask and hide his identity. After bypassing all security measures, he finally reaches the treasure vault. Using a boost of agility, he manages to leap right inside, all thanks to an agility potion, the shadow mask, and a pair of hiking boots. After burning through so much energy, he needs to eat a stamina recovery cookie. Now it's time to dig through all this junk. He finds everything else, but the most important item is still missing. It's the legendary divinity sensor, holding 1,000 years of ancient power. Once he finally finds what he needs, he can't help but celebrate. Still, there's a nagging feeling keeping him seriously worried. Things get even worse when he looks up to see a massive stack of boxes about to collapse. If all of it crashes down, it will draw way too much attention. This is the absolute worst time for things to go wrong, especially since everything was going so smoothly. When those boxes finally fall, a gorgeous black-haired girl lands right in his lap. This girl is Yuria, the boss of Chapter 2. Everyone knows her as the cursed sword goddess. The item he just grabbed actually belongs to her, which explains why she's always resting here. It doesn't take long before the system flashes a high danger alert. He has to stay sharp because this threat is lethal, triggering his X-rank desperate survival skill. Deep down, he even apologizes for waking her up, but she doesn't give a damn about his apology and goes straight on the attack. At first, this was just supposed to be a simple duel against Elia, but suddenly it turns into a total life or death fight. The sharp tip of her chain keeps missing him by a hair every single time, looking at her gaze. It is obvious she thinks his defeat is right around the corner. He tries to explain that it's all a misunderstanding, and he wasn't trying anything weird while she was asleep. He knows he has to convince her no matter what, because even with X-rank strength, his entire body is in crazy pain. But as far as she is concerned, she is not making things easy for him. In the end, messing with someone this dangerous was a huge mistake. Luckily, he knows exactly what to do to avoid getting hit. Meanwhile, she keeps hurling that strange weapon straight at him. After defending himself as best he can, all he can do now is pray for survival. When the pointed blade stops inches from his face, but he just closes his eyes. All he needs to do is keep a distance of 3.5 steps, because any enemy closer than that is taken down instantly without a single chance to react, except she can't actually get close to an opponent on her own because of Yura's curse. Since running away isn't an option either, he asks her to wait a second. Looking around, he realizes this is her private zone, completely isolated from everyone else. Even the academy professors rarely come around here, which means he is completely alone with her. Remembering that people usually get hungry at times like this, he gets an idea and offers her a cookie. She refuses to fall for cheap tricks, instantly seeing right through his attempt to bribe her with food. But luckily for him, the tasty bribe actually works in the end. She treats the whole thing as a minor mistake once she learns his identity. Sure, he came here to steal her precious artifact, but now he has to spin a random lie on the spot. So he claims someone hired him to deliver food and keep an eye on her. He decides to leave it at that, knowing this connection could be useful later on, especially since they weren't even supposed to cross paths this early in the Story turning around to leave, he tells her not to worry, letting her know her sister is doing just fine back in the Holy Empire. He adds that the Emperor won't even bother either of them for a very long time. He advises her to lay low a bit longer and promises he will return. Yuria had actually fled the Holy Empire and hid at the academy specifically to escape that place, so speaking to her about her only surviving relative is completely fine. The next day, the students go on a grand tour of the academy. A blonde girl explains that everyone must choose their major and minor subjects during the ceremony. They can select from 5 distinct fields: cavalry, sorcery, engineering, subjugation, and the clergy. Our hero knows this tutorial event is designed to give them more lore on this fantasy world. The trouble is, people won't stop asking questions, making it feel like this event will drag on forever. Now everyone is asking about the legendary Void Zone, the restricted area where punished students are sent. Dodd knows full well that place is the last remnant of the ancient war between heaven and hell. That is where divine servants and his blessed warriors sealed away the demons. Even after hundreds of years, the clash between divine energy and the power of death still rages there. This zone is critical because those demons cannot be allowed to break free under any circumstances. That is why the Sacred Empire, the Tribal Alliance, and the Empire formed the Golden Triangle to monitor it closely. That includes keeping tight control over the Elephant Academy and other key sites. Student asks if they can visit the site, and the instructor says they are allowed near the Seraph Barrier. Our hero's plan for now is simple: grab, bite, get out, and head back. But he has one more task first. Angels can move mountains and dry up oceans, and the Seraphs, who are even stronger, are the ones who built that barrier. This magical shield is the only reason the Academy can even operate so close to such a dangerous spot. Playing it smart, he asks to eat away from the crowd, claiming he feels anxious in large groups. The instructor lets him go, but warns him not to wander too far or he will, and ends up in deep trouble. The other students get annoyed seeing a nobody act so smug, special just because he got some attention, but using a legendary unicorn horn, phoenix feather, and a hummingbird fan, his ritual preparations are finally complete. Now all he has to do is blow on it gently and use the fan just right. This strange item acts as a portable offering to the gods, judging by what he is seeing. The ancient ritual is working perfectly. He knows he is breaking Academy rules, but the results are way too incredible to stop now. This will grant him access to divine beings an ordinary person could never dream of reaching. With that quick trick complete, he finally gains access to the celestial realms. He watches these divine beings from afar, and he can even hear what they are saying. He sees the higher-ups chewing out a recruit, yelling that leveling the ground does not mean digging up everything in sight. Eventually, one of the divine beings notices a human staring right at them. The angel notices this mortal has been watching them for a while, but figures he will just leave him be as long as he stays quiet. Then the boss notices the worker stopped and demands to know what his problem is, while our protagonist watches the whole scene unfold. Anyone slacking off gets chewed out. Right after that, the loud sirens start blaring as the brick delivery truck rolls in. Everyone there needs to know exactly what they are doing to unload a truck of sacred mud bricks. The real nightmare is that the pile of bricks seems endless. In a place like this, everything turns into an argument, even taking a quick break for a snack. Orders keep flying back and forth, and our guy just stays off to the side, taking it all in. Turns out the next deliveries are delayed because the truck broke down on the way. Seeing all this chaos, he realizes there must be a pretty serious reason angels do not just descend to Earth whenever they feel like it. To put it simply, angels basically operate like an army. They have a strict chain of command, and this realm follows very clear rules. You cannot even encounter angels until Chapter 2, and reaching the higher-ranking ones takes way longer, but he knows that what they really want is actually pretty simple, so he sets the table with his best food and gives thanks for the meal. While he was enjoying this amazing feast, the angels just kept watching him. One of them even wanted to ask for a bite, but lacked a high enough rank to ask permission and descend. Seeing this, our main guy talks to him and says they should eat something before getting back to work. Then he sends the food over to them. Most of the angels cannot even believe he actually sent food, so they decide to take a quick break, since the rules of that realm are different from the physical world. A single portion of his food is More than enough for all of them. One of the angels is so incredibly satisfied that he decides to bless the human. The angel wants to know what he desires, but he needs a reason, so he promises to do his best to live up to expectations. It turned out great that he did not even need to negotiate, even though he had already prepared dozens of offers. The angel thinks the main character is standing there wondering why someone so grand would help a nobody like him. The protagonist knows that just by looking, that angel can see someone's true nature. Maybe purely through intuition. That gift is way stronger than he ever imagined. But how he actually uses it is his own problem. That is exactly how he got caught by a cruel yet strangely loving monster. Meanwhile, another angel points out that a normal human would have lost their mind to fear instantly, but a great legend is being born. So there is no reason to panic. Even so, he can barely believe the angel actually called that cruel creature loving, not to mention that whole great man prophecy. Before vanishing for good, the angel urges him to have faith in his own potential since he already has a divine stamp of approval. Still, Dodd thinks he is only playing along because he desperately wants to survive, but since a celestial offered this advice, he really needs to weigh his options. Suddenly, a system alert flashes, revealing that his body holds the special power of gods from another world. That divine visitor left him with incredible blessings, and his construction stat is directly tied to his health. These perks are fantastic, but there is still a major catch. He still does not have any legendary traits to show for it. A classmate asks if spacing out is his main skill, reminding him that they need to form pairs. They condescendingly ask if he even knows what a partner is, and if so, where his partner is. Bursting with confidence, he replies that she will be showing up any second now. Seeing their doubts, he insists he is not lying and that the room is about to get crowded. His partner is incredibly popular, and knowing this story, he is certain she will make an entrance. Sure enough, Ilya walks in right on cue. Wondering if this is the monster research department. Honestly, he initially wanted to avoid getting tangled up with the game's female lead, but he ended up changing his mind, especially after mulling over that old angel's advice. Now, it is time to put his plan into motion. He asks her if her previous offer to get to know each other better is still on the table. She instantly freezes, completely baffled by what this guy is even talking about. But then, she remembers him confessing how much he liked Elnor and how difficult it used to be just to catch his attention, not to mention those rumors about him dating that weird girl, plus the way he defended her against everyone who tried to hurt her. She still remembers the look on Elnor's face during that exact moment. Now, she watches him gently extending his hand toward her. She assumes his past attempts must have failed. Though his new strategy is simply to make everyone jealous, things are about to get far more entertaining at this mock dungeon academy, out in the dark. Young Aliyah asks if they should really be doing this. He tells her to have a little faith, pointing out he has not forgotten her trying to attack him earlier. He warns her that if she wants to stay friendly, she must do exactly what he says. Immediately after that, a terrifying beast emerges right before them. The creature steps out of the darkness, ready to sink its fangs into them. The situation worsens when two more of those creepy monsters drop down from the ceiling. He quickly warns her that their weak spot is the neck, telling her to strike the torso and ignore the wings. The short-haired girl takes the advice and immediately leaps into action, annoyed. She tells him to stop shouting orders and actually help fight. He warns her that two daggers are soaring from her left and right, and her only play is to deflect them. She reacts instantly, parrying the deadly weapons away at the final second. Those blades were coated in paralyzing poison, and the next an attack is coming from her right. She must dodge 3 projectiles while he tells her to hold still until he counts to 3. Seconds later, he warns her that another strike is coming straight from behind. Everything goes down exactly as he predicted, as 2 bizarre monsters launch a relentless attack. The entire situation infuriates her, because he obviously knows every single incoming threat, yet refuses to lift a finger to help. He actually wants to, but cannot. He is just an extra with weak stats, since this is only a training match. His desperate survival skill refuses to trigger. He desperately tries to figure out how to activate it, since every single move requires perfect execution. Suddenly, he spots the girl sprinting directly toward him with her sword drawn. Terrified, he assumes he has pushed her too far and now she is coming to take his head off. In reality, she is rushing to shield him from a monster creeping up from behind. She will clearly destroy anything that gets too close to her master. He is stunned by the incredible burst of speed she unleashes in that moment. Her combat display is highly impressive. That they completely shatter the previous record, she is left utterly baffled. After all, she basically fought solo and still broke the record. It is hard to believe a duo challenge was conquered by one girl, but he quickly brushes it aside, claiming they just got lucky simply to annoy her. He warns her. The next stage is far more brutal, but their partnership is staying together. Unbeknownst to them, Aaliyah is being observed by a powerful wizard through a magical device. It is Percy, head of the Academy Spell Creation Division. Apparently, multiple elite instructors are keeping a watchful eye on the exam. A scarred spectator feels like he hit the jackpot. While observing the duo, asked if his eyes are fixed on the girl, he replies that his actual attention is focused on the boy instead. Percy scoffs that the kid is a fraud, simply freeloading off his partner's power, yet the scarred examiner argues she never could have shattered that score alone. To an untrained eye, she seems like the carrying force, but the boy was the secret to their victory. His positioning and flawless callouts, combined with his refusal to be dead weight, prove his genius. Each step he took revealed cold, calculated decisions for every obstacle. Utterly convinced of his analysis, he dares Percy to place a wager on the young duo. Suddenly, the examiner's voices echo down to the candidates. Introducing instructor Conrad Voltador, he declares that he and the head of spell creation just made a bet on whether the duo can shatter the next high score, explaining that the old record was set back during their own freshman year. If this team beats it, they win the right to ask Percy for a personal favor. He clarifies that he won't force them if the pressure is too overwhelming, especially since their existing score is already highly impressive. Our protagonist steps forward immediately, confidently promising they can easily handle at least that much. The wizard grows furious at his arrogance, but the instructor prefers to put his money on the youth succeeding. The bespectacled girl knows her ally only came here to vent some frustration, but worries she is taking things too far. Tossing a bottle into the air, Elnor mentions there is details she wishes she could remember. Rumor has it a literal demon lives deep inside the Tristan family bloodline, which explains their insane talent. But the dark side of that fame brings sudden fits of madness, violent outbursts, and total loss of sanity, no matter how much they achieve. Every single member of the Tristan family meets a tragic, miserable end. This time she clearly wants to share something huge with her friend, but suddenly loses her nerve. Playing it safe, she pretends she just doesn't want to bother anyone else. The bespectacled girl then reveals that two freshmen have teamed up, specifically Dodd and the warrior candidate. It is the exact same girl who fought him in that duel. They likely paired up because the dungeon requires a two-person party. Elnor finds this coincidence bizarre and needs a moment to process the news. Taking a deep breath, she realizes that staying calm right now is totally impossible. She demands her friend take her to them. Immediately, clutching her sword, she demands to know what he is planning. She admits she knows his strength, but wonders if risking everything is really worth it just to break a record. Still, his absolute confidence is impressive, and she figures he has a solid reason for this. Our hero knows striking the beast's weak points is simple, as these synthetic monsters follow predictable attack loops, though he cannot just explain that to her. Instead, he claims he is taking the gamble because he trusts her power. Conrad gets fired up, offering to crank the final trial's difficulty to the max, which awards bonus points for the added challenge. Percy is annoyed to hear he wants extreme difficulty, knowing he is just riding his partner's coattails. She chews them out, but the pair stands firm, which actually makes Conrad tempted to agree. All that is left is to calm down the furious warrior candidate. He asks her to keep trusting him, reminding her that he has kept them both alive so far. Meanwhile, the mage sips tea, unable to believe Conrad's reckless attitude. She recalls he pulled this exact same stunt with other freshmen years ago. Yet, the green-haired instructor believes that even if things turn deadly, the pair will survive. He is pretty confident, knowing that if things go sideways, he can step in to save them. Conrad triggers the hardest trial, demanding they prove their true worth. Realizing our protagonist will not back down, the warrior candidate decides to support his choice. Now that the dice are cast, there is no turning back. Complaining will not help. All they can do is push ahead. Conrad jacks up the difficulty so high that the system triggers an imminent danger warning. The instant a lethal threat is detected, a monstrous power suddenly unlocks. With this, he is fully prepared to smash whatever comes next. That is crucial for him, since he has to obliterate massive beasts made of pure energy. The moment our hero launches his first strike, Conrad gets incredibly hyped. Even his partner gets fired up watching him leap into action. Seeing the terrifying power they're facing, the giant monsters start whimpering. He fights with such overwhelming strength and confidence, looking nothing like that weak, useless kid from earlier. Now everyone suspects he was just hiding his true power all along to keep a low profile. Watching him, Conrad understands Percy's concerns. Honestly, he would think the exact same thing if he had not witnessed the change himself. He notes that as time passes, the beasts grow stronger and the kid keeps pace, meaning everyone in this crazy dungeon is leveling up at the exact same time. Just as he says this, the two students unleash their full power and completely obliterate the enemy. The warrior candidate puts on a show, leaving a trail of fallen monsters behind. No matter where she goes, the size of these beasts does not even matter anymore. They will do whatever it takes to win, working together as an incredibly coordinated team. Suddenly, our guy prepares to unleash the legendary Tristan family sword style. Once he unleashes the Lavolpe technique, the monster does not stand a chance. Both of them did an incredible job, showing off some seriously impressive synergy. Ultimately, they managed to shatter the all-time record, but a final danger remains. Sensing the threat, he yells at Dodd to duck as something flashes brightly in the darkness. Immediately after, the thunderous sound of total destruction echoes through the cavern. Conrad suddenly steps in, way too hyped to stay on the sidelines. He excitedly tells his student that they just set an unbeatable new record. After praising the warrior candidate as well, he makes a thrilling announcement. He officially won his bet with the mage, meaning his student gets a massive reward. That reward is renting a legendary item from the Visionary Vault and a high-level favor. The duo is absolutely thrilled because ordinary students could never pull this off. Curious, the girl asks why he always remains so incredibly calm in every situation. It seems like he always knows exactly what is going to happen beforehand. And honestly, he behaves that way because he literally does know the future. Next, she casually asks for a fist bump, believing it is just what friends do. Our protagonist thinks she is joking, but quickly realizes she is dead serious. With no choice, he offers an awkward fist bump, boosting his standing with her. In fact, her curiosity stat rises to level 5, bordering on true trust. Looking completely satisfied, she walks away, promising to see her new friend tomorrow. While he processes this, a voice nearby comments on her incredibly strange behavior. He agrees immediately, but freezes when he realizes exactly who is talking to him. Standing right in front of him is none other than the student council president. After watching them closely, Elnor demands to know if he likes the new freshman. Surprisingly, his usual survival instinct does not kick in during this tense moment. That means she is not planning to hurt him, though her jealousy makes no sense. After all, they are not committed, but her next words change everything. When she threatens to ask only once more, his internal alarm screams in danger. He quickly calls her president, swearing she was the only one on his mind. He secretly prays she falls for this fake story, exactly the way he planned it. She completely freezes up, muttering that he should not blurt out such embarrassing things. Honestly, even he is shocked that he had the absolute nerve to say that. But against all odds, she seems to have bought his dramatic story completely. She genuinely believes that he spent all his training hours thinking of her. However, she suddenly crosses her arms, demanding to know why she occupied his thoughts. He immediately starts to stammer, entirely unable to form a coherent sentence. Watching his panic, she assumes this might just be a highly complicated situation. He completely freezes up when she commands him to think very carefully next time. She questions his priorities, then tells him to relax, saying she only came to deliver something. Specifically, she hands him a letter, leaving our main character completely clueless about what it is. Is it a love confession or a duel challenge? This never happened in the original story. Either way, she warns him to only open the envelope when he is completely alone. That mysterious request only makes him even more suspicious about the contents. When he finally tears it open, he discovers that she wants him as her date. She wants him for the freshman party, but being her partner is not the real issue. The true nightmare is that rejecting her request triggers a massive penalty from the system. If he says no, her affection points will completely plummet. As he tries to process this crazy situation, a sudden knock sounds at his door. He opens it only to find his sparring partner waiting right outside for him. To his absolute shock, she's also clutching a small letter in her hand. He can barely believe this other girl had the exact same idea in mind. She winks, calling it a secret she made up during their last training session. She fidgets nervously, urging him to stop wasting time and just read it. And honestly, you and I can see our hero is officially doomed now. He opens the letter with trembling hands, already dreading what he will find. Naturally, his instincts are spot on. It is another formal invitation to the party. Specifically, she wants him as her partner. Things are turning messy real fast. Now he is forced to choose between the final boss and the main female lead. This entire scenario makes zero sense because it deviates completely from the original plot. However, complaining won't change the reality of the two letters resting before him. He desperately needs an escape route because if he chooses Elnor, he will instantly become a detestable villain in the eyes of the female lead. Conversely, if he goes with Aaliyah, the terrifying final boss will absolutely loathe him. His sole option is to pull off a massive bluff and date them both simultaneously. Let's remember, all of this is only happening because both girls still hold a mild interest in him. Soon enough, guests begin arriving at the venue. As the celebration officially kicks off, the spacious grand hall quickly fills with guests. Now completely packed, Aaliyah immediately complains about the overwhelming level of noise. She mutters that it feels like a slaughterhouse, yet thanks him for coming along anyway. He does his best to play it cool, desperately trying to project confidence. Forcing himself to maintain composure, they begin strolling through the center of the room. To make this crazy stunt work, he had to burn all his saved points. Miraculously, the plan worked. He summoned a perfect clone to handle the double date. The main catch is that this duplicate possesses several highly chaotic personalities. He must select a setting that mimics his actual behavior and traits. He is absolutely terrified that an observer will spot both of them together. To prevent suspicion, he activates the silent setting, forcing the double to stay quiet. Suddenly, a massive roar from a nearby beast echoes through the grand venue. The loud commotion makes him wince in embarrassment. Outside, a carriage slowly approaches. Guards command the crowd to clear a path. There is only a single beast, but it looks as though researchers were running dangerous experiments on it before it escaped. He knows that this disaster triggers the main plot event, and he must act quickly to survive. He is desperately hoping this chaotic double date plan actually holds together. He bought special pheromones so he wouldn't seem like just another ordinary guy. The stage is set. His clone will distract the heroine while he handles the boss. Right away, the girl picks up a strange, alluring scent lingering on him. He quickly brushes it off, claiming it is just the nearby flowers blooming. But she knows for a fact that intoxicating aroma is coming straight from him. And honestly, it is driving her wild. Watching her react, he realizes its power. Those pheromones are incredibly strong. Right then, the system confirms the success. The target is totally hooked, even though she is trying desperately to hide it. Flustered, Elnor wonders aloud why she never noticed how charming he actually was. She admits he is far more impressive than she expected, then tries playing cool. To hide her blushing, she suggests they hit the festival food stalls next. Meanwhile, he figures his clone and Elia are crossing paths at this moment. He must avoid a disastrous collision, so he plans his next move carefully. But as he schemes, the girl beside him seems totally lost in thought. He tells himself that if things stay peaceful, nothing can go wrong today. Since both he and his double must distract their targets, snacking is perfect. They make a move, strolling over to find something good to eat together. They stop at a wild boar skewer stand, where she shyly asks if he researched her tastes. She wonders if this spot was chosen on purpose or just pure luck. He knows he should keep his distance, yet a part of him wants her close. Above all, he has to guarantee that Elia stays far away from them. With their snacks finished, she suggests looking around the nearby accessory shops. Spotting an opportunity, he plans to pick out the absolute worst item. The goal is to kill her interest in him. However, his plan backfires. Despite receiving a completely terrible present, she ends up absolutely adoring it anyway. Shifting focus, he mentions their upcoming academic paths at the academy. When he chooses theology, she urges him to reconsider his choice. She argues it would be a waste if he skipped the night division. But he explains there is a special skill he must learn there. Intrigued, she asks what could possibly interest him in that department. He reveals he needs to master a crucial power to protect what matters. Those holy skills are vital for his survival in the dark days ahead. He must prepare for the looming incident involving the secret society. During this crisis, the chapter boss is surprisingly vulnerable. Elnor questions him. She wonders if his efforts to get close are tied to her family curse. It is a curse that slowly drives every single bloodline member mad. Mental discipline is useless, but he already holds the perfect remedy. The cure is an angel blessing, where two archangels bestow their favor. Achieving such a miracle is nearly impossible, leaving her family feared. Yet the Tristan name remains terrifying. Elnor asks what he truly wants. Without a single moment of hesitation, he looks at her and confesses. The only person he wants to protect is her. Failure would mean death. With a smug smile, she claims she knew it all along, calling him strange. He quickly realizes he blurted out the absolute truth to her. Still, he figures that heartfelt confession should be enough for today. Elsewhere in the city, massive cages holding vicious, wild beasts are put on display. They look absolutely furious. Meanwhile, as the pair walks along together, Aaliyah worries he might be mad at her because he is being so quiet. She knows she has to get close to dig up info on their rival family. The problem is, she has no clue how to handle guys like him. Honestly, she has absolutely no idea how to deal with men at all, to make matters worse, she ends up in a creepy area, totally surrounded by caged, vicious beasts. She notes that these creatures are all being used for academy research, proving just how reckless the professors here truly are. She notices some are massive and terrifyingly strong, making the situation even worse. A few are completely unlocked, but her curiosity gets the best of her. She steps right up to one, but the beast is far more dangerous than she expected. Suddenly, alarms blare and the creature starts growling and baring its teeth. Panicking, she freezes completely in her tracks, paralyzed with fear. Spotting the danger, the clone tackles her out of the way to save her. The monster's roar is so deafening, it echoes all the way back to where our main character stands with the other girl. Everyone in the hall instantly feels that deadly aura. Now she finds herself in an awkward spot with the guy who saved her lying directly on top of her. When she asks why, he just replies that it is simply his job. This leaves her totally confused since he is normally a big talker, but now he is acting strange. She tries to understand what is happening, but there is no time. More monsters are smashing out of their cages right in the middle of the chaos. She screams his name as savage beasts pour out, each more terrifying than the last. Since her savior is knocked out, she has to step up alone to protect them both. Having no other option, she scans the floor and manages to find an improvised weapon to defend herself. She is deeply grateful he saved her, realizing she must do her part to ensure they both survive, while he remains unconscious on the floor. She stands face to face with the beasts. The young man rushes off, saying he will handle the situation, and tells his partner to find one of the priests. Utterly confused, she tells him to wait and explain what is happening. He only looks back with a serious expression, saying they must protect the students. Meanwhile, down in the basement, young Aaliyah is clearly exhausted. A moment later, the clone regenerates and asks if she defeated all those loose beasts. Alone, exhausted, she simply thanks him for waking up, her curiosity and fascination with him growing even deeper. She notes that a massive beast escaped, and he realizes that massive roar from earlier must have been it. Visibly frustrated, she says the creature is likely on the first floor, and they must stop it immediately, but she is already completely drained. The main scenario is his main priority. If he fails, a massive penalty awaits. He must prevent a failure at all costs. Someone screams for everyone to hold on until the professors and knights arrive. Someone else tries to erect a barrier, pleading with them to hold the line, but that beast will do whatever it takes to break through and devour the students. Neither the dean nor Professor Conrad are anywhere nearby, and even if they were, they couldn't use the Elnor fumes while trying to get the angel's blessing from the priest, but he flat out refuses, claiming his hands are tied. He insists that the knights will arrive in a few minutes, so they just need to wait. He makes it Very clear he always opposed using these monsters for experiments in the first place. While she argues in vain, Dawood suddenly charges past them and announces he will handle it himself, watching the nerve of this new student. The priest scoffs, wanting him to turn back and stop acting so arrogant. The aspiring priest finds it ridiculous that a student is taking action without even knowing what a blessing actually is. However, our hero had received a divine ultimatum, now fusing directly with the priest's rosary. His available skills are now skepticism and sacred study. Suddenly, a massive threat is detected, carrying an immediate risk of death. Right in front of him is the reason his X-rank desperate survival skill kicked in. The guy running the barrier asks what on earth he's doing, but Dawood says he's just buying time, thanks to asceticism. All his leftover attribute points dumped directly into Constitution. That gives him just enough power to activate the holy barrier. As he raises the shield, the bear tries everything to smash through, but it cannot land a single hit. He pours every ounce of his strength into keeping that wall standing. Everyone watches in shock as they realize he's using the angel's blessing. The beast keeps thrashing wildly, but he holds the line firmly. The guy in the back loses his mind, yelling that even high priests struggle to perform a grand spell like that. Elnor just stares in complete disbelief at what Dawood is pulling off. The shield holds strong as the massive beast keeps slamming against it. It's clear the priest is actually rooting against him, desperate to see the beast shatter that barrier. The girl grows furious, questioning if this man is truly a professor when he won't even lift a finger to help. Out of nowhere, Beatrix steps in and cold clocks the useless professor. She excuses herself, explaining she took so long because she had been knocked out in the basement. Then she looks ahead, seeing the blessing in action, trying to process if that's actually Dawood. Aaliyah points he's not even a war priest, and that it takes at least 10 years of training to wield that kind of power. Everyone watches in disbelief, blown away by the insane effort he is putting in. Elnor remembers their conversation when he said he needed to learn something from the theology department. His words about dying if he failed to protect her keep looping in her mind. Seeing what he is doing right now, it really seems he was telling the truth about having no hidden agenda. Aaliyah explains that even if it was a stored blessing, there's a limit to how much power he can command. In the end, that student council spot must have meant everything to him. He's risking his life on the line just to rescue the Tristan family and Lady Elnor. Anyone watching can see how hard he is pushing his body. He's fighting a monster he knows he has zero chance of defeating. Aaliyah knows there can't be any other reason for him to go this far. Elnor felt it from the beginning too, but since she had always been on her own, trusting anyone was tough. She was sick and tired of getting her hopes up only to end up devastated. She was done playing herself into believing anyone would ever sacrifice their life for her, until a sudden realization flips her entire world, summoning a hidden, deep-seated courage. She tightens her grip on her sword and charges directly at the beast. As Dawood pushes his body to the absolute limit to stall the creature, unleashing everything he has without worrying about the consequences, Aaliyah notices Elnor doing the unthinkable. The entire crowd is frozen in utter shock, seeing a woman who always fought alone, desperately trying to protect someone else. The white-haired, red-eyed girl finally feels like she has something truly worth fighting for. She throws herself at the beast, utterly determined to end its threat once and for all. Right now, it doesn't matter how powerful this fiend is, she is bringing it down. Instantly, the massive beast reels from the devastating weight of her blow. Even he stands stunned by the raw, overwhelming force she uses to suppress the creature, managing to fell a gargantuan, deadly threat with only one hit. So this is the legendary might of the Tristan family's heir. Watching her battle, he instantly recognizes the true, unadulterated Tristan swordsmanship. Yet, immediately after that, the creature rises once more and lunges. They appear perfectly matched initially, until she decides to channel an even greater surge of energy into her strikes. Once that beast is locked in her sights, there is no escape. The creature struggles to resist, but she is already positioning herself to deliver the final blow. Her onslaught is relentless, but one specific technique is truly terrifying. The absolute second she spots an opening, she unleashes it without mercy, executing her legendary ultimate move, Tramontana. A move so devastating that almost no one has ever witnessed it up close. Observing from afar, Dodd instantly realizes the original form of this technique is light years beyond the copied version he uses in the original timeline. Elnor was never supposed to be here, and system alerts begin. Flashing before him, warning of a shifting narrative, he quickly deduces that the corrupt academy professors conducting these live monster experiments answer directly to the Tristan family. By intervening, Elnor would essentially shoulder the blame for her house despite having absolutely zero interest in their political games. While he struggles to process this revelation, Ilya begins evacuating the panicked students from the danger zone, screaming at them to run while they still have the chance, telling them to retreat immediately. Believing the battle is finally won, Elnor prepares to sheath her blade. Exhausted, she looks over at the young hero and tells him it is finished, but the piece is instantly shattered, prompting him to scream a warning. As another colossal beast bursts violently through the flames, he panics, yelling for her to watch her back. At his shout, her eyes widen in sheer horror. By the time she turns, he is already there, throwing himself forward to cover her. Exposed back, once again, he deploys his angelic shield to guard her at all costs. Meanwhile, a grotesque, bizarre monster begins crawling out from the heart of the inferno. Looking back at the sudden chaos, she instantly realizes everything has spiraled completely out of control. She can only watch as the boy who put his life on the line to shield her takes a brutal impact and collapses. Instantly, the heavy blow sends his vision spinning into pitch-black darkness, right as when he finally wakes up, he finds himself in a completely unfamiliar room. A voice asks if he is awake, but he only cares about the monsters. Were they slain, and is Elnor safe? She assures him the threats are dead. She adds that the Tristan girl is doing completely fine. Flipping through book, she notes that every other student escaped without a single scratch. She asks if he is shocked to see her, explaining she had to grab this chance since they could not speak after the duels. He knows exactly who she is, Adelante Swansong, the immortal who has lived for hundreds of years. He figures she is here because of his angelic blessings, but she reveals she is actually delivering bad news and even worse news. With a soft smile, she asks which one he wants first. He chooses to get the bad news over with first. She warns him that he is about to draw more attention than any student in this place ever has. That is the absolute last thing he wanted, but he braces himself for the rest. Her face turns dead serious as she asks him how much he actually knows about everything. She finds his calm reaction fascinating. Even when she mentions demons, he remains completely unbothered. He notes that he should not reveal too much, considering he has no clue what she is actually planning. Besides, he is the only student here without an assigned class, meaning he cannot even attend regular lectures. She nods, admitting she understands why he is so frustrated by everything. She explains she had to step in and do some damage control after the recent chaos. She points out that the current leaders have completely lost their grip on society. Because of that, they are desperate for elite talent, searching to the ends of the earth to find them. Sick of the talking, he cuts her off with a massive truth bomb, proving he already knows about the tribal alliance coup. He mentions the sudden shifts within the sacred empire, shocking her by asking if that is the true reason for everything. She admits he is right, adding that the Golden Triangle is currently their biggest headache. On the surface, they seem like friendly neighbors, but a ruthless secret war is going on to recruit raw talent. Normal students have no idea, but the entire continent is already feeling the ripple effects. This Golden Triangle refers to three massive superpowers: the Elephant Academy, the Tribal Alliance, and the Sacred Empire. Right then, he realizes every single mess he has faced has caught the attention of these elite factions. Yet, strangely enough, despite all that interest, none of them have made a move yet. It is almost like someone is actively stopping anyone from leaking information. Adelante thinks he is incredibly sharp for piecing it together, especially when he asks if gaining all this attention is dangerous. She warns him that the world could literally end and things could spiral out of control at any moment, and if that happens, an all-out war will explode between the three superpowers. She then pulls out an object, asking if he recognizes the crest. She reveals that is why she mentioned demons earlier, and he immediately recognizes the Purifier seal. Just by reading his expression, she can tell he knows far more than she expected. He knows all too well that the Purifiers hunt demons, cult operating deep in the shadows. He asks why she's spilling so Many classified details, especially knowing she could be targeted a third time. Unable to explain everything out loud, she hands him an item which he instantly recognizes as an interdimensional key. This is an incredibly rare and terrifying item, capable of tearing open portals to other worlds. Seeing his shock, she knows he understands, telling him to take great care of the gift and deliver results. She adds that if he proves his worth, she'll grant him even better rewards later. She then snaps her fingers, making it crystal clear that their conversation remains strictly off the record. She casually mentions she knows about his connections to the warrior candidate and Lady Tristan. Honestly, though, he isn't in the mood to answer those questions. She hopes things keep going smoothly between them, warning that if he slacks off, things will go downhill fast. Smiling, she casually adds that if he fails, the world might actually end. He finds it incredibly chilling how she can discuss apocalyptic stakes with such a calm face. To her, the master plan only succeeds through those three. Shortly after he takes his leave, he walks off, deeply unsettled by thoughts of the apocalypse. Clutching his new item, he decides to worry about that later. He never expected to score an item this incredible, something that should be totally impossible for any player. On his way out, he bumps right into Professor Coronado, who says he was looking for him. The Night Dean explains that even without a set class, yet he cannot simply skip lessons like this. He hands over a paper with a temporary assignment. Starting tomorrow, he has to attend lectures with a specific group. One look at the roster and he realizes he's really going to have to focus this time. He ends up grouped with the class president, Elnor, and the vice president, Elia. The moment he sees his groupmates, grim memories of the world's end come rushing back. Suddenly, it hits him that he's taking classes alongside those upper classmen. While the professor tries to teach the lesson, Elnor interrupts, asking why he's focusing so heavily on theory. She argues this kind of information is only practical in real combat, but Elia disagrees, saying the professor is absolutely right. As they argue over who is right, our guy is caught right in the middle, praying they keep it civil. Things quickly escalate, turning into a full-blown shouting match where both of them look ready to throw punches. A direct clash between the two leaders seems completely unavoidable. Despite their opposing views, both of them look ready to settle this dispute with their fists. Finally, he speaks up, simply asking them to pipe down so he can focus on class. Instead, he steps directly into the crossfire, and both demand that he pick a side. The situation gets incredibly awkward, especially since they draw the entire room's attention straight to him. To make matters worse, they keep dragging him in all lesson, making the other students start glaring at him. On the bright side, he builds up his trust with Lady Tristan even further. The game system shows his rising proficiency with her. The family sword style reaches 58%. His basic breathing technique also gets a solid level boost. These two skills complement each other, and considering the physical side effects, they form the best possible combo. And the only person capable of using this combination properly is Elnor. That is exactly why she becomes the final boss with this monstrous close. Combatability, plus the reward for the warrior candidate, is finally ready to claim. The rule of evil still dominates the rankings, exerting its influence over the good people tied to him, leaving him to wonder what it all actually means. In their next class, they are heading into the forest for a hands-on survival training session, led by the Knight Dean Conrad, who explains how the exercise will work. Their objective is to enter the forest and bring back anything they think might be useful. He adds that he will evaluate the students alongside the student council president. Naturally, Elnor is not thrilled about that idea at all. The warrior candidate finds the instructions way too vague, but the instructor just tells her that life is all about hands-on experience. Dodd knows the old saying to keep friends close and enemies closer, but right now, he has no clue how to balance all of this. He is still lost in thought when Lear approaches and asks if they can team up. Trying to stay polite, he suggests she stick with her own group, but she just smiles, calling him her friend as well. In reality, he just wants to keep his distance from her as possible, hoping she stays with the main cast. She puts on a cute face, trying to act sweet, claiming it wouldn't hurt to go together, but he is really not in the mood, bluntly cutting her off by saying they are not even close. She stands there completely shocked, never expecting to hear such harsh words from It takes a moment for the reality to sink in, leaving her looking genuinely hurt. After everything they have survived together, once she finally accepts his answer, her face darkens. She says, "It's a shame, but he must know what he's doing." Then she turns her back and walks away, leaving him behind. One of the girls in Eli's group really dislikes how he treated her friend. She glares at him, and right then, Dodd realizes he went too far and upset her. That is when another student steps up to confront him. The protagonist just wants to mind his own business, but people keep bothering him. Now this newcomer wants to know what his deal is with the warrior candidate. This is Tylan Armand, the strongest student in class after Ilya, who is actually destined to become a mid-tier boss later on. Annoyed, he claims someone as strong as Ilya shouldn't waste her time talking to a nobody like Dodd. The protagonist spots a status update, since angering this guy fulfilled one of the system's conditions. Tylan asks if that duel was just a total fake, but he realizes he can actually use this future boss to his advantage, staring him down. Without a shred of fear, Dodd tells him the duel was 100% real. He adds that Tylan only says that because he cannot accept seeing someone he admires get crushed so easily, making the gap between them crystal clear. As the two argue, Ilya glances back from a distance to watch the unfolding drama. Mockingly, Dodd tells him it must really. It hurts to watch his ultimate goal get surpassed all at once. The massive power difference grows more obvious by the second. That's when the blonde guy decides to propose a bet. They will wager on who can score the highest on the exam. For the MC, this offer plays right into his hands. Meanwhile, everything is incredibly boring for the girl stuck standing next to that obnoxious instructor, watching everyone prepare. To make things even worse, the teacher wants to discuss the assistance he requested from her to grade the. He demands to know if she's treating her duties as a joke, asking why she gave perfect scores to a student who hasn't turned in anything. Yet she simply replies that the student truly earned the score she gave him. She even suggests that if he's unhappy with her grading, he should let her monitor the boy up close to make certain. As she turns to leave, the instructor places a hand on her shoulder, stopping her. Conrad insists that one can judge the students from a distance, but she clearly isn't buying it. Holding her holy cross, the young girl watches and senses that her companion is acting completely different today. Her gaze remains locked on the battlefield where the warrior candidate fights. A girl normally so sweet and kind to everyone now seems incredibly impatient. Even the local monsters suffer the consequences simply for crossing her path. A red-haired student notices that the strongest beasts are all gathering in one spot. The others agree, pointing out it's the rare ore zone. If they grab gems, they might still salvage their grades. Suddenly, a desperate cry for help echoes out. Something is deeply unsettling about the warrior candidate because her aura, which was once peaceful, now feels incredibly heavy. Her classmate notices those dark emotions starting to show, no matter how hard she tries to hide it. She is furious. Trisha gently approaches her, asking how she's been holding up lately. Attempting to seem perfectly fine, Elliot replies that nothing is wrong. Her companion presses further, offering assistance with whatever is bothering her, but Elliot turns her back, claiming she has no idea what she means. Still, the girl remains worried, sensing the storm of complicated emotions bottled up inside her friend. Once the dust settles, the short-haired girl sits under a tree, looking incredibly gloomy. She didn't realize she was so transparent, and she knows there is no fooling Trisha. Since they are finally alone, her companion asks her straight up if the boy is still keeping his distance from her. Ilya can't figure out why he's acting this way, especially since they went through so much together. It makes zero sense for him to build a wall between them, but when her friend suggests he might not have meant it that way, Ilya struggles to understand what she means. Her friend points out that he is from a minor barony while she's an elite warrior candidate, making her realize he's simply trying to protect her in his own way. Trisha succeeds in her mission as her companion's dark mood finally lifts. Meanwhile, the protagonist keeps running to win the bet he made with Talon. He knows the guy is pushed to his absolute breaking point, especially after being publicly humiliated in front of everyone. Now, he feels completely disgraced by him, as a dark influence takes hold of the guy, the MC. He claims his reward, triggering the rule of evil and receiving a direct command. Wearing a dead serious look, the man vows to turn that useless trash into dust. Honestly, his spear only grazes his target. Meanwhile, Tenon seems completely obsessed with hitting the guy in front of him, no matter what, telling the main character to stop acting childish, fight like a man, and stop running. He wonders why. Tenon insists on getting the last hit despite taking the worst beating. Suddenly, the main character begs him to stop, acting like he has hit his limit. Hearing the plea, the guy acts like he has no choice, suggesting that in this case they should split the rewards 50-50, but that was just a trick for our hero to catch his breath and taunt his opponent more. The chase starts right back up as the blonde guy rushes after his target, determined to crush him for good, pouring all his raw strength and murderous intent into the strike. He prepares his strongest spear throw. After building up his momentum and channeling his power, he launches the weapon straight at the main character. But what happens next leaves the blonde guy wide-eyed, and he is not the only one shocked. Dodd is completely stunned too, and both of them freeze as the warrior candidate suddenly appears and catches the deadly spear midair. She immediately warns the blonde guy to stay far away from her friend if he knows what is best for him, making it crystal clear he must keep his hands off her friend. He quickly realizes this is their first meeting since the monsters escaped. To make sure he gets the message, she takes a step toward him, pressing her cold blade against his throat, warning him there won't be a next time. And yes, this really is their first encounter since she completely wiped the floor with him. Meanwhile, our main character is just wondering where the heck this girl came from. The blonde guy tries to play it cool, stammering that it is great to see her. She completely ignores his fake small talk and demands to know why he is chasing Dodd, asking if he is really trying to mess with her friend. Not content with words, she sweeps his legs right out from under him. With him flat on the ground, she raises the intimidation, pointing her sword at his face and demanding a sincere apology for messing with the wrong person. The blonde guy just cannot wrap his head around why she protects someone who is clearly not on her level. She coldly tells him that her choice of friends is none of his damn business. She then asks if he wants to get knocked out cold again, just like last time. Instantly, he remembers getting absolutely crushed by her back then, left with no choice. He drops to his knees right then and there, realizing he could have been seriously injured. He quickly apologizes to Dodd as she sheathes her blade. The coward promises to never approach him again without direct permission. Watching this unfold, our main character notes that the strong warrior candidate certainly knows how to teach someone a lesson. Now he wonders if she even considers him a friend anymore. Well, they are still friendly. But what really matters now is earning a top grade on this school assignment. Before long, another person comes calling for him. A girl named Trisha stops right in front of him, asking if they have met before. She decides to introduce herself, though it is unnecessary since he already knows her identity. She is close friends with the warrior candidate and always takes forever getting to the point. Both in this timeline and the original webtoon, she loves to speak in circles just to deliver some seriously annoying news to him. Having no time for her games, he simply turns around and walks away. From Trisha's point of view, the guy is bizarre, especially since he forced her friend to fight Talon instead of just talking things out like normal. Clearly, he is the real instigator, though things escalate when he notices who is waiting right up ahead. His eyes widen in shock at the unbelievable sight. There stands instructor Conrad, absolutely furious after battling the academy student council president who is currently sulking on the dirt. Conrad explains that she demanded to enter the forest, so he forced her to fight him first. Naturally, she lost. Conrad notes that he is actually doing much better, but he can tell the boy is just playing dumb. Shaking it off, he claims he's only motivated by points, while the defeated president keeps her eyes closed. Yet, he still must reveal his loot, but when he unlocks his spatial pouch, he displays a massive haul, instantly triggering Percy's overwhelming greed to steal it. Recalling their promise, he casually asks her for a few bonus points instead. But right when he decides to head straight toward the magic department head, he gets rudely cut off by that annoying girl once more. Thankfully, she addresses the professor, who dismisses the class and orders her to protect Elnor. She then requests that Dodd watch over Iya, but delivers a rather stern warning. He shouldn't get too friendly with her, since Iya completely loses her mind whenever she talks about him. He politely thanks her for the warning, despite it sounding like a dangerous threat. Left with zero options, he simply promises to do his best. She mutters that he better survive if he values his life, all while channeling her recovery magic. While treating Elnor, she worries deeply about her, fearing she might snap and cross a terrifying point of no return. Meanwhile, our protagonist visits the spell creation office to cash in his points. Percy is stunned to find out he is already burning his single wish. He demands an audience with the spell creation goddess herself, but she instantly shuts down his cheesy flirting, looking around during their conversation. He spots other students giving him incredibly awkward and highly irritated glares. Still, preparing for the upcoming Purifier boss raid means he must be ready. She reluctantly agrees to assist since the Chancellor directly ordered it, but warns him to keep his desires strictly pure before asking what he wants. At that moment, a system alert shows a reward from Aaliyah's gift. Yet he maintains a completely serious expression. This particular reward unlocks rare skills in the specialized point shop, which has just received a fresh update. Because Tylan and Armand carry the negative seal, he can trigger Rule of Evil. Though the actual buff is not much stronger than basic items, he realizes he is completely outclassed by the Purifier, prompting him to cash in his favor. Looking her dead in the eye, he demands a heavy cannon, one powerful enough to vaporize the entire Magic Academy. The moment she hears this, she realizes he has officially lost his mind, yet he doubles down with an intense deadpan stare, treating this insane weapon like an absolute necessity. She, shocked and unable to process his words, she still tells him she can build it. The real issue is where he plans on using a weapon like that, but he just shows her the contract, reminding her she must fulfill normal requests, saying, "A simple request like this is child's play for the Dean of Spellcraft." Percy gets annoyed, pointing out that asking her to construct a weapon is anything but normal. Still, a promise is a promise, so he assures her he won't harm anyone and will only fire it at a single target. That makes her even more anxious, but she is sure he must have his reasons. After all, he did help with the monster outbreak, and now he is building a cannon for himself, as he thanks her. She still can't believe the Chancellor let him have a harem. She even claims it will help save the world. Suddenly, she gets all worked up and starts muttering to herself right in front of him without even realizing it. He tells her to relax, reminding her that she promised to grant his wish and needs to keep a cool head. He also mentions the item she promised him and Ilya from the Vision Vault, demanding she hand it over immediately. This is perfect because now that he has permission for the cannon, he just needs the rare crafting materials, since he can easily gather them using his interdimensional key. Everything is going exactly according to his master plan. Things go smoothly until a mysterious stranger suddenly calls out to him. The man has an intense aura and demands his name, but before he can even reply, the stranger speaks his full name. With a grin, he notes what a massive coincidence it is for them to cross paths here. He then introduces himself as Galler, manager of the Purifying House Charity Foundation. Our protagonist finds that hilarious, knowing the foundation is just a front for money laundering. In reality, Galler is the leader of the Purifier chapter and commander of the Raging Fire, and he mentions hearing plenty of rumors about the young man. That is why he hands over a gold card for his bravery in holding off the monsters, an impressive feat not just anyone could achieve. The Purifier adds that it has been ages since he saw such an extraordinary student, and he cannot wait to see what his future holds. He then invites him to dinner, claiming they have some very important matters to discuss. This entire interaction is straight from the original novel, except this guy was supposed to harass Aaliyah instead. The fact that Galler approached him instead proves that the system now views him as the actual main protagonist. Meanwhile, Galler maintains a perfect poker face, waiting for his response. Still processing the bizarre twist, our guy simply says he will think about it. The Purifier calmly walks away, stating he will be waiting at Twilight Eyes restaurant in 3 days. This is a terrible spot to be in because even though he said he would think about it, the man completely ignored him. Twilight Eyes is a high-end restaurant near the Academy, meaning there is no running away from this major event. Just like before, the choice is simple, but there are massive risk factors involved. He is already tangled with mercenaries, hunting Lady Tristan, Elnor herself, and even the warrior candidate. On top of that, Yuria and the mid-boss are in the mix. Still, taking everything into account, defeating the Purifier is not impossible. To make matters worse, the The Chancellor's words about the end of the world keep echoing in his head. He still cannot comprehend why he has to play Aaliyah's role, wondering if things went off script from the very beginning. Ultimately, he decides to focus on what is right in front of him and worrying about the rest later. With no option left, he knocks on the door, realizing they are taking far too long to open the door. He raises his voice to Elnor, checking if she is actually inside. Recognizing his voice, she asks what he wants from her. Hearing her reply, he tells her she doesn't need to come out, as he only wants to discuss something quickly. Standing there, he asks if she is free 3 days from now. The sudden question catches her completely off guard, especially since she is not alone in the room. Her companion quietly reminds her that she must return her books on time. Honestly, she had not even read them yet, merely letting them gather dust because she only borrowed them for the gorgeous cover art. As her friend keeps whispering, she notices her place a finger over her lips, gesturing for silence. Outside, he continues to press, asking if she can spare some time to go somewhere with him. She asks if it will be just the two of them and where exactly they are headed. He reveals he is taking her to a place called Twilight Eyes. Hearing that name, her companion gasps and quickly whispers from inside that it is a famous, top-tier date spot, so she asks why he wants her to go, causing him to pause. He promises to give her a proper explanation, but insists he can only reveal it once they are together. Alone, she lingers behind the door while he waits patiently on the other side. Years ago, a young Aaliyah absolutely loved playing in a massive field of flowers. On this day, however, she was pouting because her brother had teased her once again, even though he repeatedly apologized and swore he would not pick on her ever again. She remained furious. She demanded to know what sick joke it was to push his own sister down a hill. She only wanted him to leave her alone. He argued he was just playing around, wanting her to grow up tough so no one could ever hurt her. His cruel prank finally ended with an apology and a bag full of sweet cookies. He mentioned that thanks to the Baron, he might be promoted directly to an apprentice knight. When she asked about his future plans, he revealed he would head straight to the battlefield. He wanted to experience new things and witness the world from a completely different perspective. To her young ears, it sounded like a foolish fantasy. He was merely an idiot who spent his days annoying his little sister. How could he ever become a legendary guardian? She asked if he would actually return alive if he went to war, and he jokingly replied that his luck might just run out. Angry, she told him she hoped he would run out of luck and never return, so she could finally have some peace without his constant, annoying teasing. He knew those harsh words were only a little girl throwing a tantrum because she was upset, so he promised her that if he became a guardian, he would protect her forever. But all of that was merely a fleeting dream, the same recurring dream she had before being woken by a voice calling her name. Stepping out looking half asleep, she asks him what is going on. Realizing he had woken her, he apologizes, explaining he was still getting adjusted to life in the busy city. Handing her a snack, he asks he begged her to go easy, explaining he was just a clueless country bumpkin. He also apologized for claiming they weren't friends earlier, adding that he brought her some cookies after trying them himself and finding them absolutely delicious, reminding him of a friend who might enjoy them too. But she countered that constantly saying sorry wasn't cool among friends. Either way, she turned her back on him and told him to go back to sleep. Still, he couldn't let this golden opportunity slip away. Calling her his friend, he admitted he desperately needed her help, begging her to tag along somewhere. He insisted it was incredibly urgent, but she merely glared at him with an annoyed face, convinced he had completely lost his mind this time. Meanwhile, the student council president was kept busy managing her heavy responsibilities. Currently, her team was doing everything they could to secure the teaching materials. She also planned to double check the budget allocation for every club. Then, her friend pointed out that the only issue remaining was the incoming transfer students. Apparently, the school was admitting one from the Tribal Alliance, a girl tied to the faction that collapsed during the recent coup. The president already knew she was the daughter of a prominent tribal chief, meaning her family was essentially in exile by now. A crowd of advisors accompanied her, but in reality, her entire family was merely seeking political asylum at the academy. The bespectacled girl asked if Elnor knew who Lil Garuda was, assuming she must have heard of such a famous figure. But the council president showed absolutely zero interest in that. Glancing at the calendar, she realized that the upcoming schedule looked grim. Next semester, an actual saint from the Holy Empire was scheduled. To arrive, what truly baffled her was that this saint was traveling entirely alone. It appeared the chancellor had pulled some serious strings behind the scenes. Soon the academy would house both a holy saint and the daughter of a powerful tribal chief. The administration was clearly plotting something major. This infuriated Elnor, as she had no clue what motivated these sudden maneuvers. With each passing day, her political rivals grew stronger. She appeared completely dazed for a moment, then suddenly muttered about forgetting something important. Her bespectacled friend couldn't comprehend why she was so stressed. Considering she had only been around for 2 days, Elnor was just in a foul mood. Today, meanwhile, high up in an observatory, a duo was admiring the spectacular view. The protagonist remarked on how breathtaking the scenery was from up there, pointing out how gorgeous the night sky looked, but his companion remained unimpressed, questioning if any of this was even necessary. He replied that he had zero choice, as this was the sole path to success, urging her to just tolerate the situation a bit longer. Utilizing the catapult he took from the vision armory, they could reach their destination. All he needed to do was press a button. Panicking, the girl wanted to know what his scheme was. In the middle of the night, although this was a highly restricted area, he possessed a secret passcode card provided by the chancellor. Once they launched into the air, they were guaranteed to land in the correct zone. Ignoring his companion's sheer reluctance, he urged Aaliyah to pay close attention and keep her eyes wide open. He commanded her to maintain focus, because he had already locked onto the coordinates of the interdimensional portal. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light erupts, completely swallowing up the area around them. With a smirk, he flashes the card and assures her that everything is completely under control. He promises they are heading in together, and she has absolutely nothing to worry about. He is right by her side. Suddenly, memories of her brother asking a painful question surface. Why was she crying? Where was that fear coming from? Now our protagonist speaks up. He tells her to keep her eyes on him, because things are about to get dangerous. But he promises she has nothing to fear. He will always have her back. Right after that, both of them vanish. The second they land, the protagonist warns her. He warns her they are short on time. They have entered a strange interdimensional space. She must not touch a single thing here. Everything is highly dangerous. Without warning, he begins hopping casually from one massive floating rock to the next. Terrified, the young girl panics and asks him what on earth he is doing. He tells her to ignore the crazy gravity. They need to climb much higher. When she asks what they are hunting for, he replies she will know soon. He urges her to keep leaping across the rocks. She is absolutely terrified. She knows one wrong step means certain death. Still, she tries her best to trust him. Squeezing her eyes shut, she takes a leap of faith, but things go horribly wrong. She misses her footing and starts plummeting. Spinning upside down in midair is terrifying. Her mind immediately races to the worst-case scenario. Total panic sets in. Adrenaline rushes through her as she recalls a painful memory from her childhood. They had to abandon everything and escape through the back door of their home. She desperately asked her brother if they were truly leaving their parents behind. With a dead serious expression, he nodded, promising he would save them later. He warned her to hide instantly if she ever encountered a descendant of the apocalypse. But she could only focus on his safety, tears welling in her eyes. She cried that she was not stupid. She knew their parents were gone forever. She wanted to prove she was no longer a helpless little kid. She understood the harsh reality. After all, they only had each other left. They needed to escape together. Her words broke his heart, but he knew there was absolutely no way they could stay together. It was too dangerous. Traveling together would put both of their lives at risk. He was her guardian, not just her brother, so she had to trust him. Her only job was to run as far away as possible. He promised her that once she was safe, they would reunite at their usual training hill. He begged her to stay calm and run, promising to follow right behind. Suddenly, right in the middle of her panic, a hand firmly grabs her arm. Looking up, she realizes our protagonist is holding her tight. She demands to know what happened to the terrifying gravity he warned her about. He explains she is actually falling very slowly and will adjust to it soon. He points upward, letting her know their target is directly in front of them. The phantom of the Gregory Pavilion looms clearly above their heads. As they land on a rock, he asks her to hold onto some gear. Feeling suspicious, she demands to know what he is planning to do. He explains they will need to make a fast escape very soon. That is why they need to pack this bag. Smiling, he gets ready. He asked if she was following along. Honestly, she found the whole situation super weird, especially since all she could see was sky. Then, things turned creepy, like something was about to swallow them whole, and that is exactly what it felt like, as if they were trapped inside a massive beast. Right on cue, he warned her that their time was almost up. Honestly, the hideous giant monster looked exactly like a massive fish. He shouted at her to grab everything the creature dropped, out of nowhere. She ended up harvesting even the foul breath of that massive beast. Suddenly, the wind picked up, howling so hard they could barely hold on. At that moment, the giant monster opened its jaws wide, preparing to gulp them down in a single bite, but in the blink of an eye, they were standing safe on the ground. The escape card worked right on schedule. He quickly grabbed her hand, asking if she was okay or hurt anywhere. Furious, she immediately yanked her hand back, realizing it was completely coated in foul monster slime. She snapped at him to shut up. Realizing this reckless stunt and their escape had been orchestrated from the start, he freely admitted it was calculated. He just wanted to sneakily steal the Gregory ghost's loot. Feeling used, she demanded to know why. He never mentioned traveling to an interdimensional realm, refusing to listen. She slammed the heavy bag down, yelling that she was officially done. She could not believe she was dragged out of bed just to gather disgusting monster slime, yet even as she gave him the cold shoulder, her affection level and interest in him spiked dramatically. It was pretty bizarre. He found it incredibly strange that her affection climbed so fast out of nowhere. To her, the reason was obvious. She had just been floating, pressed tight against him beneath a romantic pink sky. With the mission done, he searched for Adelante, finding her drenched in sweat as she tied back her hair. She eyed the bag and asked if it was what she suspected. Of course. He could not read her mind, but he explained she could consider it a psychic entity. Shocked, she asked if he actually entered the interdimensional realm. Presenting the card, he noted he already knew. She had gifted him that card for this exact purpose. Honestly, she admitted she never expected him to use it so quickly. Taking a moment to ask what on earth happened to his hair, he grinned, explaining that Percy blasted him with a lightning bolt. They were there to deliver the ectoplasm harvested from the other dimension. He added that seeing a spiritual entity must have terrified Percy, even though she is a witch. She is an absolute coward. He asked if this batch was enough, reminding her of her promise to provide another reward if she was satisfied. She noted the magic tower would pay a fortune, but he refused any gold. He wanted a favor instead, since these entities hold the consciousness of legendary heroes. He asked her to infuse his equipment with one. By doing so, the spirit sleeping inside would slowly awaken and grow increasingly powerful. She demanded to know his ultimate motive, pointing out that he had already defeated an armed mercenary barehanded and crushed a top warrior candidate. She mentions that he has also fought monsters lately and asks why he is so obsessed with getting stronger right now. He silently reminds himself that he needs the power since the campaign bosses are all demon level. At the end of the day, everything centers on the two girls next to him, but he knows there is no way he can explain that to her, so he decides to change the subject directly, asking why she likes him so much. He knows she has a lot of questions in her mind, like how he located this hidden alternate dimension. Obviously, he possesses secrets that an ordinary academy freshman should not know, especially a newcomer. Lately, he feels like the whole school has started revolving around him, even if that might be a slight exaggeration. However, he truly believes his classes and daily routine are being subtly guided by Adelante. She seems to let him do whatever he wants, so he wants to figure out what she actually expects from him down the line. Still, Adelante is the chancellor, and she makes it clear she does not appreciate the casual tone he is taking with her. Even so, she notices the kid knows exactly what he is doing, which explains why she gives him such special treatment. She playfully suggests that maybe she just finds him cute. He thinks that is completely ridiculous since he has not done anything cute to deserve that. Regardless, she agrees to help infuse the item with a psychic spirit while he shifts his focus to the main quest of this chapter, the Purifier. He has to finish this mission before anything else, since his partner has already reached the Spot, he asks if the president has been waiting long, applying some lip gloss. She claims that she just got there, then she sarcastically adds that she has only been waiting for him for 6 hours. He finds it strange because somehow she looks totally different compared to the day of freshman orientation. She explains that this is her first time visiting a place like this, so she thought it was better to find a spot nearby to get ready. Right after, she asks if this is his first time leaving the academy grounds. The moment he hears that question, he instantly looks away. She is so comfortable around him that she casually grabs his hand and starts pulling him along. She tells him they need to hurry because the line is huge and there are tons of people there. He never imagined Twilight's color would be this packed. There are so many people ahead of them that he doubts they will ever get inside. That is when he spots Tylan and wonders what on earth that guy is doing there. Tylan gets completely flustered as soon as he sees the main character, explaining that he is working a part-time job at the venue. Suddenly, he looks to the side and notices the student council president is right there with him, just like anyone else would. He freaks out and asks why on earth the two of them are together. When asked what is going on, the main character almost explains it is not a date but catches himself before saying too much. She turns to the staff member and asks if she can use her authority as student council president to head inside. Suddenly, the main character notices the guy is wearing a strange necklace and decides to ask him about it. The employee explains that he got it from the Uresa Foundation, which is run by the Marchioness, so the main character asks him not to wear it today and to make sure the rest of the staff takes theirs off too, since he has raised both Elnor and Eli's affection points. The main story is starting to shift. He has to change Markway's Riverback's perspective, because there's zero chance that guy is just going to eat and leave quietly, and the plot takes a turn that honestly, you and I probably never saw coming. The purifier catches his eye, but at least he doesn't need to worry about an immediate counterstrike right off the bat. The man tells Elnor he needs to borrow the student for a moment to have a quick word. He whispers to her that he's taking the boy to a private VIP room. She hears him promise it'll only take a moment. With a smile, he tells the student he seems quite close to the daughter of the Tristan family while sipping a lavish drink. The man begins to speak, getting straight to the point, asking if the boy knows why he was summoned. The boy doesn't beat around the bush, saying he's probably planning some horror, like reviving a demon or something along those lines. Since security is light during the full moon festival, he's planning to unleash an absolute slaughter. After letting monsters loose everywhere, he will use mercenaries to deal with the knights, all of this just to awaken the demons slumbering within the Tristan bloodline, not to mention the seduction plots and monster attacks they are orchestrating. The boy makes it clear he already warned the Chancellor about these schemes and asks the guy what he has to say for himself. Now, it makes perfect sense why the prophet took such a liking to him. He looks harmless, but he's far sharper and more cunning than he seems. He's certainly no ordinary kid. After laying it all out, the boy just stays quiet and lets the man speak. The purifier finds it all impressive, but reminds him that his minions have already captured the girl, something the boy surely didn't anticipate. What he doesn't realize, though, is that this girl is far more of a monster than we think. She's not just a pretty face, she's the student council president. Right before everything goes down, they tell her she must come with some security guards. It's honestly ridiculous that they think she'd actually buy that excuse. They claim she must go with them because demon cultists are about to launch an attack. They already know she has a history of wild, unpredictable outbursts. One of them even has the nerve to place a hand on her shoulder and cite imperial law. She warns them that she's trying her absolute best to avoid doing something rash. Then one of them actually has the nerve to demand she be captured alive. Absolutely furious, she grabs the man's head with sheer brute strength. Next thing you know, she's showing him how to scrub the floor, tables, and everything else using his face. That brutal thrashing immediately grabs the attention of the other mercenaries sent to capture her, but since she heard them say to take her alive, she isn't holding back for a second. She hears them shouting to stick to the plan, saying it's fine to rough her up a bit, except she has no intention of merely playing around. Unlike them, she doesn't need to hold back at all. This gives her complete freedom to go all out and teach them a lesson with the full force of the law. Yet the more she beats them down, The more she seems to unleash her inner beast, they try to defend themselves and fight back, but it's entirely useless. Trying to block her is just as. It is pointless because absolutely nothing is stopping this woman. She will keep pounding away at them until she is fully satisfied and gets her revenge for ruining her night. Even the guy acting so confident a moment ago is now left speechless watching the president go to work. Blade in hand, she is treating this brutal beatdown like a fun little pastime. Her affection level soars straight to the friendship stage, while her anger meter cools down. A bit annoyed, she complains their date was ruined, so he owes her another night out. Right then, a system notification pops up with a new quest involving Gideon Latristan. He is not sure why her father is targeting him as well, but for now, he just needs to clear this mission. Clutching a dark demon essence, the self-proclaimed purifier complains that he did not expect to use it so soon. Our hero has no clue where that thing even came from. He warns his partner that they cannot let him swallow that stone under any circumstances, but the man opens his mouth, swallowing it whole, claiming he is receiving divine grace. What was a normal scene just a moment ago suddenly turns into pure horror. The explosion is massive and he barely manages to crawl out of the rubble. Now he must deal with all the destruction caused by that madman. The mutated monster mutters that he did not want to use the stone before eliminating the prophet. After swallowing the dark stone, he transforms into a complete monstrosity. When a demonoid consumes essence, they temporarily gain the full power of a demon. He is literally the Chapter 1 demonoid, proving once again that this world is actively trying to kill our protagonist. His new mission is to destroy the purifier, and while doing that, he must keep civilian casualties to an absolute minimum. With a screeching voice, the creature yells that the hour of purification has arrived, except the beast is not even their biggest problem. The cannibals and cultists Elnor just defeated are coming right back to life. Out of nowhere, someone unleashes a strange attack called Professor Dawood's lethal piercing thrust. Giving an attack such a ridiculously flashy name is certainly a bizarre choice. Right after, he hears the boy ask what he thought of the technique he just unleashed. He tells the kid that even if he had used the necklace, he still would have ended up like this. Hearing that, Talon asks if the Marquis is behind this massive disaster. The kid gets incredibly hyped up, wanting to know what his master will do next. He replies that he has to take charge. He needs to protect the citizens and stop the Marquis, so he tells Talon to run as fast as possible. Meanwhile, the president asks the boy if he has any guess where the Marquis is hiding. He explains that the Marquis and the cultists share the same goal of spreading chaos and despair. They even have a name for their holy land, calling the demon world Pandemonium, and that is exactly where the Marquis is heading, ready to damage the barrier if he cannot destroy it completely. Just then, the demonic creature begins gearing up to attack. It gathers an orb of dark energy in its palm. It is small, but packs enough power to unleash absolute destruction, while the villain stands there full of himself, believing he is about to trigger massive devastation. He is interrupted by an annoying voice telling him to shut up. The purifier is not pleased at all to find himself tracked down so easily. Our hero mocks him, calling him too predictable now that he has embraced a demon's dark power. Naturally, he would head straight to the chamber where that evil is sealed. The fiend sneers that this saves him the hassle of hunting them later, then recalls he must still capture the Tristan heiress. While that wretched beast keeps rambling, the young warrior holds the girl tight, whispering to her that no matter what happens, they both have to survive this nightmare. She is still adjusting to the immense trust he places in her, yet she feels deeply bound to live up to it. It is the Tristan family honor, and she will never fail anyone who believes in her. The creature notices she is ready for battle. Finding it strange, she would rush into danger so quickly, but she has no time for chatter, cutting straight to the point just the way she likes. She charges him head-on, launching her assault. As she strikes, the boy darts across the ground, drawing focus to buy her some space, yet the purifier barks a warning against fleeing. As soon as he speaks, he hurls a blast of dark energy directly at him. Except the boy anticipated the strike and cleanly dodges the blast. It turns out he did this intentionally, baiting the tyrant to give Elnor the upper hand in the fight. More dark bolts rain down, trying to strike the boy. The tyrant cannot comprehend why a mere bug keeps running instead of standing too Fight, the purifier completely turns his back on the girl, resuming his chase. He screams at them to stop running and face him head-on. This makes Elnor furious at being ignored, as if she is too weak to bother with. Suddenly, the monster snaps and decides to widen the area of his attack. He blasts both of them backward with a shockwave so massive that even the young Tristan heiress cannot hold her ground. This is a dark fang spell that makes the chest tighten, feeling as if the heart might explode. After releasing that power, he howls. Demonic energy slowly begins surging toward Dodd. This incoming strike is truly devastating. It is obvious he will need to deploy his magic shield, which immediately catches Elnor's attention. The blow is so powerful it shatters his divine barrier. Instantly, worst of all, the strike hits our hero dead on, sending him flying, leaving him barely conscious. The demon laughs, noting the boy is tougher than he appeared. In that moment, the girl promises to buy time and begs him to stand up quickly. The purifier mocks her persistence, laughing that the two of them make a perfect couple. Hearing this, she realizes that until this moment, she has only ever been rescued by his constant help. She remembers every time he risked his life to protect her. He always fights to protect her, even in secret and even awakened. Incredible powers just to keep her safe. Now, his defenses are shattered. But the vitality necklace she gifted him boosts his recovery. She vows she will believe in him until the very end. The purifier sneers, claiming he almost cried, then asks if they are finished whispering. Yet she still has one final question. She asks if he truly believes she and the fallen warrior make a good couple. The tyrant finds the question completely bizarre. He dismisses the question, but her creepy attitude still unsettles him, especially since she seems dead set on becoming a housewife once they leave. Hearing all of this makes Elnor incredibly emotional. Now she gets even more fired up to launch her attack. She goes completely wild, charging straight at the beast. The girl begins battering him without a shred of mercy, her heavy blows landing hard. He desperately tries to block, but it is useless against her sheer speed. Unleashing her ultimate move, she strikes with the legendary Tramontana technique. The enemy barely has time to react. Her sole focus is crushing this beast, so she can protect Dodd right after. With that goal in mind, her strike speed accelerates to an unbelievable degree. Soon, the creature is left battered and broken. All thanks to that miserable student. The villain grumbles that the pesky bug should have crawled off and died already. He angrily demands to know what else they are concealing. Close by, the weaker monsters are being wiped out. The broom-riding witch and Conrad clearly have their side fully under control. Elia is just relieved they all united, knowing the danger would have skyrocketed if they had not arrived in time. Both realize that without backup, their situation would. Struggling to stand while battered and bruised, he spots something Talion dropped. It hurts like hell, but he only needs to endure a bit longer. Just as that thought crosses his mind, Elnor crashes face down right next to him, utterly beaten. Naturally, the foe refuses to believe she is truly the student council president. Yet, the villain drops his guard for a split second while wavering. That is the exact instant the blow lands. Striking the demon, he asks if they have any backup plan left. Elnor witnesses the entire clash unfold before her, barely able to comprehend the scene. She watches the vile beast pull off a repulsive trick right before her eyes. Fortunately, his lethal charm skill triggers and he can barely read the system notifications. All clues point to Elnor finally revealing her true self. A small hamster appears in the scene. He recalls the monster's dark words. Our protagonist hunches over in agonizing pain. The girl wears an incredibly gorgeous dress. Dodd strains to turn his head to get a clearer view. Some system functions are disabled, stealing away his skills. Stolen, he believes that entity used Elnor's physical body as a vessel to manifest itself. It is much easier to win people over like this than showing malice traits. Now the pair stand face to face. The higher their favorability grows, the stronger the magical effect becomes. Completely out of nowhere, Tristan boldly confesses her love to him. Time seems to freeze for a split second. Our hero notices his severe injury completely disappearing. He recalls one of the most powerful fighters on Earth, having a legend act so warm and friendly toward him feels utterly surreal. While he cannot predict how this alters the future, he must seize every single advantage possible. Acting quickly, he activates his skill duplication ticket. The overwhelming pressure makes it feel as though his head might explode and his skin is tearing away. Clearly, that entity is linked to Elnor. He absolutely needs her help immediately and will definitely require it later on. Then the woman begins to stir. Our protagonist stands there utterly bewildered as she tells him farewell for now. She casually mentions she will investigate his private background. She says she'll see him later, casually mentioning she'll look into his background. Right after, the beast roars a threat to annihilate him before a massive explosion detonates. Wanting to confirm the kill, the demon scans the smoking crater. The impact zone is totally demolished, spiderwebbed with deep fissures. The fiend searches for the kid, completely unaware of the shadow looming right behind him. Sensing the sudden threat, he whipped around to face it. With glowing crimson eyes, the protagonist radiates pure terror. A massive torrent of energy condenses high in the clouds, and right after that, another devastating blast rocks the area. As the smoke clears, it reveals who actually launched that strike. The beast cannot believe what he is seeing. The young hunter crashes down, driving his skill straight into the earth. Suddenly, a system screen flashes, warning of critical danger. The alert confirms his new Pandemonium Overlord skill has triggered, granting him a lethal edge against demons for the next 5 minutes. The fiend snaps, demanding how a weakling could wield such power, screaming that it makes no sense. Unbothered, the hero lunges directly at his foe. The demon is losing his mind. He screams that the prophet never foretold this outcome. Without warning, Dodd starts raining down a relentless barrage of blows, telling the beast to stand, because round 2 begins now. The demon collapses to the floor, writhing in pure, agonizing pain. All the while, the young warrior stands over him, radiating absolute fury. But one detail still eats at the monster. He desperately demands to know how a boy can wield his exact same abilities, only infinitely stronger. Suddenly, pain intensifies, reminding him of the brutal trials he endured just to unlock this strength. Seeing a random brat possess the exact same force makes his blood boil. Blinding anger takes over and he snaps. A system window flashes, warning that the beast has unleashed his latent demonic aura. Now, both opponents stand locked in combat, fueled by identical rage. The hero tightens his fist, winding up for a crushing strike. In an instant, their raw powers collide in midair. The young fighter clearly is not holding back. His opponent is desperate to prove the fatal mistake of defying him. The two combatants engage in a brutal, frantic duel until the demon manages to seize the boy's head. Roaring for him to vanish forever, he strikes, but Dodd intercepts the blow using a massive wing. The stunned demon cannot believe what he is seeing. He shrieks, demanding to know how a human could possess such divine force. The hero ignores the question entirely, retaliating with a devastating front kick. The impact is so violent it launches the beast backward. A relentless combo follows to destroy the creature entirely. Buckling under the pressure, the monster screeches in agony, granting no room to recover. The young protagonist prepares to deliver the finishing strike. The demon is totally bewildered as to why this is happening, offering no mercy. The hero prepares to crush him, but suddenly a system alert flashes, announcing that his skill duration has expired. That luckily reminds him of another inventory item that could turn the tide, an artifact he never actually returned. Meanwhile, the demon recovers and roars his intent to obliterate Dodd once and for all. Charging ahead like a rabid beast, the hero calmly responds that those are pathetic last words. In that exact moment, the gray demon realizes his time has finally run out. He wonders if everyone already witnessed this entire disaster. Deep down, he always knew there was simply no escaping his fate. Suddenly, a system notification pops up, confirming the main quest is complete. Staring at the glowing screen, Dodd questions if he actually won those rewards. Later, the blue-haired woman demands that Dodd explain everything about the gray demon, but Dodd has no clue what she means and asks for clarification. She quickly fires back, questioning his connection to it, linked to the beast. Meanwhile, further down the hallway, an urgent voice asks if the blood bag is ready, and the medical team says they are setting it up. The doctor calls for her heart rate, and a nurse warns it just fell below 50. It turns out the white-haired girl is currently hospitalized in critical condition. Amidst the chaos, the medical staff wonders why the priest has not arrived to help yet. One of the gray demon's primary powers is absolute corruption. She explains that this power was unleashed over a massive area right next to Dodd. She highlights how he ended up as the absolute center of everyone's attention, then asks if He planned for things to unfold this way. He replies that he has abandoned his background character status and that surviving his run-in with that foul beast was pure luck. She reveals that this gray demon is the strongest ruler in Pandemonium. That is why she thought it chose Elnor, the student council president, as its chosen vessel. Dodd listens to all of this in complete silence. He tries to stand up, but his leg is too badly injured. She thanks him for protecting both the Academy and Elnor. As Dodd collapses again, she tells him to listen carefully because everything she is about to reveal must remain strictly secret. Now he lies with his head in her lap. She explains that due to the legendary actions of the previous hero, the fragments scattered and manifested across the entire world. Naturally, the other shards tend to gather around the human at the center, and just yesterday, the gray demon temporarily woke up. Even in the original storyline, the other vessels caused massive tragedies, like the infamous Red Knight incident sparked by the Crimson Demon. When we break it down, the only constants in this tale are Elnor and Elia. She adds that the Holy Empire possesses an incredible spy network and has already tracked down all the potential vessel candidates. Because Elnor was on that list, they pulled strings to gather every candidate together at the exact same academy. Dodd asks if placing so many dangerous people in one academy is not completely insane. She explains there was only ever one instance where a vessel fell in love. When that happened, the demon fragment was entirely destroyed, proving that true love can erase the seed of destruction. Hearing this, Dodd thinks this chaotic situation has nothing to do with him, but the woman mentions that the gray demon seems to have taken a liking to him. Unsettled, Dodd asks what she means, and she says she witnessed everything. While treating his severe wounds, he tries to argue that perhaps the demon just felt pity, but she shoots that down immediately, declaring the reasons do not matter. This is the crucial part. She insists the demon showed a very unusual interest in him before taking the opportunity to bring up his unique hidden talents. Then she has just one favor to ask. She wants him to find a way to pacify and control the demon vessels. He completely freaks out, saying that is impossible. But she promises to support him so he can charm them without any trouble. She tells him not to worry, since every single candidate so far is a woman. And they are all absolutely gorgeous. To her, this is a total win. There is literally no issue. After all, they are stunning women. She calls him a lucky guy, saying if he could charm the gray demon, he can handle anyone. Our main character really does not like where this conversation is heading. She tells him to use any means necessary, prompting him to ask if she really expects him to go around seducing every single demon vessel. She insists he can definitely pull it off if he puts in the effort, and bowing, she begs him to save humanity. He already knows the answer, but asks what happens if he fails. She tells him humanity will be wiped out, and the entire world will fall. She adds that a dark, evil demon empire will be born from the ashes. In that moment, he realizes just how much he detests the game developers. Meanwhile, flowers bloom outside a bedroom window. The white-haired girl slowly begins to wake up. She sits up in bed and looks around, wondering where on earth she is. Outside, someone tries to enter while another girl mentions visiting yesterday, even skipping class just to see her. The girl with glasses warns it will take a while for her to wake, but the second they step inside, they see she is already awake. The silver-haired girl asks if her friend actually skipped class, and she admits she was worried sick. She confesses she honestly thought she was dead, and then asks how hard she pushed herself during that intense fight. Ignoring the question, the silver-haired girl asks what happened to Dawood. The brown-haired girl explains that he has already been discharged. He was not even hurt that badly, but the president was in such awful shape that everyone feared she might actually die. The silver-haired girl asks again if Dawood really left the hospital already. Her friend recalls watching her lie completely motionless on a stretcher days ago. Back then, she had warned that things would turn ugly if she did not wake up, even threatening to take our main character's life. However, he had replied that President Elnor does not die easily, promising she would recover in just a few days. He insisted the Tristan family is not weak enough to risk their lives for someone like him. Back in the present, she asks if the president can even hold a pen, given how the paperwork is piling up. The president complains, reminding her she is still a patient. Ignoring her, the girl mentions that two people have been causing a massive scene lately. The first is Saint Lucen, which the president finds odd since she should join next semester. The girl explains that, due to the recent incident, the Holy Empire and the Inquisitors have already started to take action. She admits she does not even want to mention the second person, making the president eager to find out who it is. She hates talking about this, but she needs to warn her about someone who brings nothing but trouble. She reveals that Gideon is joining the academy soon. The president murmurs something, but her friend cannot quite catch what she actually means. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to a distant city where endless houses stretch across the land. A traveler remarks on how lively the town looks, but a young girl interrupts him. She demands he close the window, annoyed by the noise, which he finds quite amusing. He laughs that a literal saint hates the sound of people, teasing her about it. Maybe if she had spent her life locked in some dark chapel, the mood suddenly shifts. He drops the playful tone, speaking up to ask her once more to close it. He explains he just wants to enjoy this brief moment of peace, but the saint scoffs. She reminds him that a saint sharing a room with a demon worshipper is completely absurd. How could he possibly expect peace? The blonde youth sighs, hoping she would be friendlier. He expected her to be friendlier by now, but she quickly shuts him down. They are only temporary allies with a shared goal, and she has no interest in friendship. She asks if he truly believes they can be close, given their locked fates. Whether humans hold her leash or destiny controls his life, it is all the same. At the end of the day, they are both prisoners. She reflects on her past. There is someone she must save. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a father starts talking. He notes that parent visitation day is approaching, but the harvest makes it hard to attend. Since they cannot go, they are sending Herman to represent them instead. His dad advises the boy to just blend in and avoid standing out. As local workers run around doing chores, the father continues giving advice. He is not worried because his son has always been incredibly smart. He just warns him to stay out of trouble and keep a low profile. Plus, if he finds a girlfriend, he needs to bring her home for the holidays. He asks if it is time for grandkids, making his son glad his dad cannot see him. Nearby, onlookers whisper, wondering if Herman is just some kind of low-level servant. A student wearing glasses confirms it, offering assistance to anyone who needs it. He presents fresh grapes from their master, which our protagonist decides to taste. They taste absolutely incredible, instantly sparking jealousy among the surrounding students. They complain about him bringing a personal butler to school. Our hero sighs. He tells his servant to relax, act like a friend, and eat some too. Butler finds it exhausting, and our hero knows he cannot waste time. He remembers the outrageous task a mysterious woman previously dropped on him. She wanted him to seduce all the vessels to save humanity from the demons. That bizarre mission weighs heavily on him, but more trouble lies ahead. The immediate threat is the Chapter 2 boss. He needs to prepare right now. In the original game storyline, this specific character should already be dead. And despite having a terrible relationship with his daughter, he is still her father. In the past, Gideon's death was the trigger for the great demon's awakening. But in this timeline, she has already unlocked her first stage prematurely. Suddenly, an acquaintance approaches, asking why our hero looks so incredibly grumpy. He prefers to avoid this person entirely, but their paths are bound to cross. When they do, he must extract crucial information. This is his perfect opportunity. It is his chance to take down the Chapter 2 boss once and for all. After dealing with the butler, our protagonist tells him he needs to borrow his sword. He asks for the weapon for a single day, and the man quickly kneels. He promises to return it, leaving the girl deeply annoyed. He thought he should have mastered that sword style already. Dodd points out that the Tristan family's style is incredible, and he wishes he could at least master the fundamentals. Remarkably, this is the very first time they both agree on anything. She decides to help out a little since her junior asked. Our hero realizes that if he tried to train Gideon alone, he could only teach him basic swordsmanship. Suddenly, both of them spin around at a voice saying, "It is surprising to see the student president slacking off." The president clarifies that the protagonist personally requested it. The girl then asks if she only uses one hand for her sword, while their classmate has to use two. She calmly replies that it does not matter who holds the weapon. What matters is who is actually teaching. The orange-haired girl insists that means she should take over, boasting about her past experience as a teacher's assistant. The president is not amused, coldly asking if the girl thinks she is superior. sensing the president's rising fury, she quickly backpedals, saying she could never win. A direct clash, but immediately after, she notes she knows a few of her vulnerabilities. This comment instantly drives the president right over the edge, and things turn incredibly tense. They decide to duel to settle the score. The rule is dead simple. Neither of them can tap into Tristan family powers. The platinum-haired girl observes that the challenger stands no chance of pushing the president to her absolute limits. Our hero is completely bewildered. Both wanted to train him, but now they are suddenly fighting each other. At this rate, the challenger will get completely overwhelmed by the president. The junior declares it is time for a harsh lesson. The president retorts that her opponent's moves are far too flashy. Suddenly, the junior manages to press her blade right against the president's throat. She prepares to deliver the deciding blow, but the president effortlessly blocks the strike, instantly firing back with a heavy counterattack. From there, the two unleash their full strength against each other. The junior complains that she is not just incredibly fast, but also way too strong, calling it totally unfair. The president sneers, asking why she is whining, and if she plans to lose to a demon. She glares at the junior, who still overflows with raw power. Just then, the junior scores a direct strike on the president. She sharply reminds her that she descends from a demon bloodline. No matter how noble the president behaves, within a few short days she will be entirely consumed by that dark entity, whether she likes it or not. She pauses briefly, choosing her next words very carefully. Then, she reminds her that in the end, she is merely a sacrifice for the demon. With those words, she prepares for another strike. The freshman surges with power, bending the raging flames to her command. In a flash, she charges forward, going directly for the president. The president manages to raise her sword just in time to deflect the impact. A massive shockwave explodes outward, hurtling toward our protagonist and his friend. The protagonist completely freezes in place, caught off guard. Elnor notes that the girl seems completely unable to control her own magical power, so she leaps directly in front of them to shield everyone. She had to act quickly because if those wild flames struck him, he would have been severely injured. Realizing what she nearly did, the freshman quickly apologizes. Meanwhile, our hero's friend is so terrified that he collapses straight onto the ground. The protagonist notices that the president is way faster and stronger than she used to be. He wonders if she is already starting to merge with the shard. The freshman apologizes, again admitting she went way too far. Elnor replies that her sword skills are top tier and she could even be a hero candidate, but she must focus on more than just swinging her blade, adding that putting her own allies in danger is completely unacceptable. Ignoring the lecture, the freshman asks where that other guy went. Elsewhere, someone is thinking that there is no time to waste fooling around. That someone is our protagonist, who needs to get stronger no matter what. He knows he has to level up not just his sword skills, but his divine power too. To pull that off, he is going to need help from the girl sitting over there eating an apple. The young man walks up and mentions that she looks like she's doing pretty well. That girl happens to be the saint's sister, and now it is time for her to return the favor. She remembers people telling her that pushing so hard wasn't going to get her anywhere. They told her that if she just waited around to be saved, she would end up dead, and that relying on friends would only bring everyone more pain. They said hope is just the beginning of despair. Hoping she finally got the message. The point was clear. She had to accept her own fate, just like her sister did back then. She only listened to all of it in complete silence. They used to say the saint's sister was nothing more than a cursed tool. They told her she'd be all alone until her final breath, and that it was the only way to protect everyone. That was Yuria's one and only purpose. She snaps her eyes open. Startled, she realizes it was all just a bad dream. It is the same memory that keeps coming back to haunt her. Shaking it off, she takes a bite of the sweet apple in her hand, savoring the fresh flavor. She tries to push the past out of her mind. Turns out she doesn't just have one apple, she has got a whole basket of them. Right then, someone shows up and ruins her peaceful break. Our protagonist walks up and asks if she is doing all right. She looks back to see who is bothering her, and instantly her sword swings straight at him, but the boy saw it coming and readies himself for the attack. She is confused why he would step right into her range when he knew it was dangerous. He struggles just to keep up with the speed of her strikes. Without hesitating, she swings at him again. Young man dodges quickly. She says she didn't mean to attack, telling him to back off. Before he gets hurt, he blocks her attacks using his own sword, right then. He notices something and immediately looks behind him. Her sword comes, rushing at him once again, and the boy ends up falling backward onto the ground. He mentions she seems to be in great shape since she pulled off that move so easily. She is totally caught off guard by how fast he moved. The apple even falls out of her mouth as he reminds her he promised to drop by and visit sometimes. A bit annoyed, he asks if she really does not remember him, adding that he brought food since he did not know what she liked. He tosses a bag full of food over to her. He jokes that he always gets a harsh welcome but gets that she is just trying to teach him a lesson. Then he asks if he came at a bad time. She suddenly remembers someone extremely rude in her past, telling her she'd be alone forever. The young man turns around and says he hopes she enjoys the meal before telling her he is leaving. She can only remember her past, back when that man told her no one would ever save or befriend her. Staring at all that food, she remembers him saying things like this would only bring her pain. She just stands there with her mouth wide open, staring at the massive feast. She slowly walks over and picks up a piece of bread. She just stares at it in her hand, suddenly unable to hold it. She breaks down and cries. She really thought she would spend the rest of her life completely alone there. Meanwhile, he checks his status window, thinking it is crazy that their relationship already hit level 1, considering how little they have talked. Checking the rewards, he sees he unlocked the B rank swordsman's focus skill along with a speed boost, turning off the faucet. He thinks this reward is incredible and will pair perfectly with his. Looking at the notifications, he finally understands why dealing with Yuria was such a hassle. The main character warns his friend they are going to be late, but his friend begs for just 5 more minutes. He thinks to himself that he must show his strength against a type of swordsman that did not even exist in the original story. Meanwhile, a massive crowd is gathering at the venue. A knight offers to help an old man, but the elder replies that he simply enjoys walking for his health. Meanwhile, some people in the crowd whisper that the Holy Empire seems to be sending representatives this year. Another agrees, saying it must be true because they saw several Holy Empire knights ride past. Elsewhere, spectators are shocked to see such a prominent figure attending the open classes. Some cannot even believe their own eyes. Everyone wonders why he is even there, whispering that he never appears in public unless it is wartime. It turns out this man's daughter is the student council president. Gideon asks another lord if he ever tires of teaching children. The scarred man asks if he has lost the first archduke's legendary technique, but Tristan claims he is training exactly as he should. Gideon brags about slicing a mountain in half, but the other replies that is a rather primitive way to get things done. Just then, someone demands the audience's attention. A beautiful woman announces that the upcoming fights will be closely monitored by instructors and on-duty medics. A man tells his colleague to watch closely because this year's class is extremely strong. The woman goes on to explain that participants can choose any weapon, as long as it is made of wood. With that, the fighters enter the arena. The main character wonders if his game characters felt this way, thinking he probably should have skipped the event since he will not catch Gideon's eye. Anyway, the battle will include the blonde fighter and Dune, who is competing because she is a hero candidate. The announcer tells everyone to grab their weapons of choice. Watching from the sidelines, Ilya wonders why the protagonist is even competing. She wonders if he simply enjoys bullying weaker people, or if he is doing it out of obligation. The announcer tells them to get ready because there is only 1 minute left until the battle begins. Everyone enters the arena knowing there is only one goal. That goal is to be the last survivor, and the winner will receive points. Anyone who places in the top 10 wins as well. The kid begs his master to at least try and make the top 10. Meanwhile, the girls are confident he has nothing to worry about with them around. They are fully prepared to assist. Up above, a silent observer watches the crowd. It is the student council president, carefully analyzing every single detail. Nearby, her father glances back, pretending he has not noticed a thing. The announcer tells everyone to prepare themselves as she signals the start. The match officially begins, and the fighters show absolute determination. From the very start, the arena erupts into a brutal, fierce clash. The first ones to drop serve as a harsh warning for everyone else. Amid the total chaos, one challenger has locked his sights on our protagonist. He has no clue why this opponent is targeting him so relentlessly. During their intense clash, he decides to impress the student council president's father. He unleashes a defensive move known as the brat block while the man watches. The older man observes, thinking his movements still seem a bit clumsy. Out of nowhere, a voice shouts that they seem to be having fun. A girl wearing a purple cloak suddenly drives a kick straight at the hero. Caught completely off guard, he is stunned when she challenges him directly. She demands a duel immediately, wasting no time before launching another strike. A powerful kick catches both him and the blonde fighter as memories click. He recalls that she is the second daughter of the tribal alliance chief. The blonde guy takes the worst of it, leaving the president and Aaliyah confused. They wonder who she is, while the braided girl warns him to move. If he does not act, she will strike. He realizes she lives for battle. He recognizes her fierce, close-quarters combat style from the tribal alliance. In fact, he suspects she might actually be stronger than Elnor. Meanwhile, the blonde guy wonders why his rival protected him during the fight. He questions if it has something to do with Lilo joining the tournament. The blonde fighter vows to secure the top spot for him, no matter what. He barks insults at the girl, calling her an amateur to protect his ally. That bold move backfires immediately, as she becomes absolutely furious with him. She stops holding back, and our hero knows his ally just made a mistake. The blonde fighter poked the wrong bear, and the price will be steep. Taunting her victim, she tells him to survive just a little bit longer. She wants to enjoy herself before finishing things with another devastating strike. At that exact moment, the loudmouth realizes how badly he just messed up. While she gathers her strength, the protagonist backs away to save himself. He leaves his ally behind as a massive shockwave ripples through the arena. The blast sweeps up nearby bystanders, leaving the blonde fighter utterly broken. He collapses onto the dirt, and she immediately locks eyes with the hero. She complains that she expected a much better challenge from the fallen fighter. Pointing directly at him, she confesses she is impressed he withstood the blast. The protagonist decides to hold nothing back, hoping his current strength is enough. From their high vantage point, the president and her father watch closely. They doubt he can survive, and the second she strikes, he agrees. He instantly knows victory is impossible as she unleashes a terrifying assault. A relentless barrage of strikes rains down. The poor kid scrambles just to block the oncoming onslaught.